My father used to say, "Watch this man."
He's been cited by IGN, The Quartering, Timcast, The Daily Wire, Bounding Into Comics, and even Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
Disney insider WDW Pro recently speculated on.
Time and time again, he's broken big entertainment news live on the air.
I've been following WDW Pro and his track record for years. If you want to find out what's on the horizon for theme parks, Pro is where you go.
Let's check in on Rian Johnson's new trilogy.
Okay. I bypassed the compressor.
What did you do, Ray? Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Now, he was okay, you know, after 6-7 weeks. Okay? You know, they get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Yeah.
I hate it.
You know, it's the standard, what would George do?
I don't want you here.
So sorry, George, I didn't think it would go like this.
Fly, you fools.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Weird. Stay away from liquor, kids.
I have always liked Cowabunga.
Cowabunga!
Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
The Force will be with you. Always.
That's how winning is done.
I am vengeance. I am the night.
That's what she said.
I am Batman.
If I won tonight, I would come home and we'd celebrate. Well, I'm coming home, we're celebrating. God bless you all.
Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 2 minutes, the lighting at the Magic Kingdom will dim for the performance of the Pro Show. We hope you enjoy and have a magical, truthful time. For the safety of others, please, no flash photography. And welcome to Provision 3D.
Alright everyone, put on your puppy glasses. Oh boy. Shut up now. I'm so excited.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You know that you've been taught the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes, Paul.
Autobots, roll out.
I'm bringing the party to you.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money?
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
We're gonna do it!
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man.
Are you okay?
They'll never take our freedom!
From the redwoods of California to the hills of Tennessee to the Rockies in the Sunshine State and Maine with that bright and shining sea. From coast to coast in North America, it's time for your host with the most, bringing you all the entertainment news that should be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show! Hello, howdy, and how are you, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another adventure in excellence when it comes to live streaming, podcasting, and doing all the things that give us meaning when it comes to entertainment. Vash Sky is my Wookiee co-pilot, to borrow the phrase that Jonas uses. Vash, how are you, sir?
I am doing just fine. Thank you so much for having me, Pro, and being your Wookiee co-pilot. I do the Chewie voice, but it's not, I don't do a very good job at it. I'm working on it, though. But thank you for having me on.
You're saying you can't do a good Chewie?
I can't do a good Chewie voice.
It's something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Vash, I've got a promise for you tonight.
Please.
I promise, Vash, I cross my heart. I would stick a needle in my eye, except my optometrist tells me not to. Vash, I will not make you do math live today.
Yep. Thank you so much for that. It's not that I can't do math. It's just that, doing it on the fly when you got everything else going on around you, that can be a little bit of a challenge, especially if you're only hearing those numbers audibly. But it's okay, folks. If we are forced to do math, we'll do it correctly.
Well, Vash, it's like the time that Valiant made me juggle live on his show. And, well, I didn't want to tell him, but the Avatar doesn't have the ability to juggle. It was such an embarrassing moment. Folks, welcome back. We're happy to have you. We've got about 250 out there on the YouTubes and even more on X. Already passing 300, and it is 10:07 p.m. on the East Coast. You do the math, folks, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in. All I can tell you, it's a big win having you here. And yes, Vash, we are arriving at a time when Forbes has been citing the WDW Pro Channel, and what a joy it is. As we get started, folks, we're going to bring on the panel. I want to tell you that being cited by Forbes is definitely not going to go to my head. I have canceled the red velvet pathway, that the carpet that I had purchased earlier. I thought better of it, Vash. It's not going to go to my head. I have sent back, I have returned the mahogany toilet seats, which were ordered after I saw it. It's not going to my head, folks.
Well, that's good. That's good. Because it might be going to mine, because the That Park Place Network was cited by Forbes, and also, too, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the FCC chairman, Brandon Carr, also cited That Park Place. It's pretty cool.
That's right. It's a BEA beautiful day to be doing real journalism and to be telling the truth with a capital T. Folks, as we get underway, though, I do want to say this. On a serious note, all of the stuff that is happening right now from the FCC, literally one of the biggest departments in the federal government, from them citing That Park Place to Forbes citing That Park Place, WDW Pro, and Valiant Renegade, and I can keep going. The list is actually growing by the day on stuff that's happening. It's a team effort. And none of this would be happening if we had not reached out to people, found people, discovered people, and had the blessing of having great people want to actually work with us. And, everybody here, including in the audience, deserves kudos. So, folks, send out those kudos emojis to everybody involved. And that includes you, because you are the gigawatts. As we always say, we never forget that without you, we would not be doing this, and it's a dream come true. So thank you, folks, for making it possible. Thank you for everybody on the team. And Vash, right after this, it's time for the panel.
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
That's right, Vash, bring on the panel.
Let's do it. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring on this person first. He is streaming everywhere. Everything all at once, I believe. Hey, he just streams everywhere. It's wild. It's crazy. But I do like his beard, though. It is the one, the only Culture Casino Culture. Welcome to the Pro Show.
Thanks for having me tonight. I short notice and all, to get here.
Hey, Culture, why is it when you stream everywhere, it's a good thing, and when I stream everything, my urologist tells me it's a real problem?
Okay, because I can actually hit my target, sir.
Well, we got to get those little PP targets back in the potty. Hey, Vash, I think those are real. I think you put them in the toilet for toddlers. They're called wheelie targets or something.
Okay.
Vash, have you passed the stone yet?
Oh, wow.
I believe so. I haven't felt pain in a while. So, you never truly know.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I haven't had pain, so there you go.
Ultra Casino has clearly given birth in the past to a kidney stone, and he knows, darn it. He knows. You'll find that little devil if you look hard enough.
Woo.
It's
everybody out there, everybody in the chat who's ever had a kidney stone just got a cold sweat and said, oh yes, those little devils. They're awful. They are. All right, well, let's move past the tiny sea urchins that move so slowly through our, ductwork. Vash, bring on our next panelist.
All right, next panelist is he's small person and tiny ductwork right there. No, sir. He is got about the biggest brain that I've ever seen, but it all fits into a nice size head underneath an amazing hat. The one, the only, Lorne. Hello there, Lorne.
I don't remember showing you my brain.
Well, Lorne, listen, you were just described as having a nice sized head. And frankly, that's the kind of compliment that you can take to the bank here on the Pro Channel.
I'm pleased to have the correctly shaped cranium.
Well, I think it's very important to point that out because, as we know, like Captain America: Brave New World, for instance, they have some people there that maybe the chrome dome or cranium is not so great. So
now, Vash,
just want to go ahead and clarify that.
I've got an idea for the next guy. Can I do the intro for the next guy? Can I please?
Please, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, his muscles are big. They're ginormous, but still somehow not the same size as his mind, which is ever expanding. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, K to the E to the V to the I-N, Apollo Kevin is here.
Gentlemen, so my wife informed me that the PP targets are called Cheerios.
Really?
What now?
Hold on a second. Is that real, or do you just sprinkle Cheerios in the potty and say, hit it?
Oh, sorry. I did that wrong. They put Cheerios in there so that they're PP targets.
Oh, I see. Brilliant. That is so much cheaper, too, than purchasing little tiny ducks or whatever it is you're supposed to. By the way, if it's a character, it really is teaching the child a bad thing to say, hey, whiz on that.
I'm learning so much right now, but
Vash,
contributing to this educational process.
Vash, you're almost ready for fatherhood. Having listened to this conversation, we've got you there.
Oh, that's true. But speaking of being ready for fatherhood, we're about to be the father to 50 members of the WDW Pro Channel. Here you go, John Maynor, with the 50 coming right out the gate with it. Oh my goodness!
Wait a minute. We're all guys here. If we're the father to these 50 members, does that mean that we're now a bunch of gay warlocks?
Oh, Lord.
After this.
When a pirate shares his treasure with you, know that it came at a cost, even from the likes of someone such as Captain John Maynor.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Perfect. Folks, John Maynor has started us out the right way, not birthing a kidney stone into the world, but instead 50 brand new green names in the chat. And if you received one of those gifted memberships from John Maynor, make sure you say thank you. Don't let him go without knowing that he did a good thing for you. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, earlier, I believe it was last week. Was it last week or was it this week? I can't even keep track anymore. We did a member exclusive live stream. And when we switchified it, some of you out there were not allowed through the door by YouTube. It had nothing to do with us, but YouTube, for some reason, glitched and didn't let you in. And I can only imagine how badly you must have felt with the anticipation and the happiness of having been gifted a membership, and then suddenly you didn't get to go there. Well, folks, we're going to fix it. By golly, we're going to fix it. F-A-I-X, fix it. And here's how. We're going to be doing 2 member live streams this month. That's one more than usual. And that way, we're going to make up for what happened, and we want everybody happy. Happy, happy, happy. That's what we want. Joy, joy, joy. And hopefully YouTube will allow us to bring that to you. We cannot wait. Vash, let's get to these super chats. We have a goal tonight of 20. If we can hit 20 before the midnight hour on the East Coast, we are going to debut a brand new vacation radio song about 24 hours before it is supposed to be out there. So get ready. If we do it, we'll play it.
Indeed. Oh, that sounds so good. Cannot wait. Snarky Distink with the $9.99. Unfortunately, I must say goodbye to a dear friend and family member this weekend. Keviana, our water and ball phenom, has given us 15 years of relentless spirit and love. A wonderful blessing is she.
Well, Snarky, thoughts and happiness to you. Good vibes, and hopefully lots of happy memories your way. And I must say that it's never good to say goodbye, but we do appreciate the super chat, and you are still stinky, even though you're in our hearts today. Thank you, Snarky Distink. Nugget.
Praying for Kaviana there. That's tough. That's tough. Gilliam the Second with $5. So you returned the mahogany ones for golden ones, bro.
You know, we went with I need a funny one here. What's something that would be unpleasant to sit upon?
A pine cone?
No, it's got to be something expensive. Come on, guys, workshop a joke with me here. What's a fabric that costs money but you would never want to sit on it?
Corduroy.
Corduroy. That's perfect. Gilliam,
it leaves like little bumps in your whatever.
Exactly. You know? Gilliam, we returned the mahogany for corduroy toilet seats, and it's going quite well. The dimples are just a temporary side effect.
Undulated bottom.
Soft toilet seats were a thing for a while there in like the 80s and 90s. Ooh,
yeah, they were that was before we had viral and bacteria repelling plastic.
I miss the days when cushions were on toilet seats, when a person could sit down and hear the sound of wind breaking in the bathroom and it still had nothing to do with you yet. Those were good times.
This is just fantastic.
Whatever happened to waterbeds? Speaking of, why were waterbeds a thing in the 80s? And does anyone still have? If you are out there in the chat right now and you have a waterbed, please tell us. We want to know if you have a waterbed still to this day. Vash, do you have a waterbed?
Yes, I do.
Vash has a waterbed.
I was forced to give mine up because the other party in the household was like not down with the fact that if I turned off the heater, it was cold.
Yeah, it'll freeze your bones. An unheated waterbed is not pleasant.
Not pleasant, but hey, if it gets real hot in Arizona, well, you can just dial that one down. Be cool all night. So
there you go.
Not so bad. It's not so bad. Let's see here. Ken Reinhardt with the $2. DMR was filling in the river.
Filling in the river. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you so much. Albertus Magnus with the 199 Pro. Our childhoods were so different.
Our childhoods. Well, sometimes the things I say aren't necessarily true, except when we're doing stories, folks. I promise. But when we're just shooting the breeze before we get started, sometimes the truth is a little bit lax. I don't know. Listen, Albertus, did you play with Ninja Turtles? If you played with Ninja Turtles, you're a friend of mine. Let me tell you, we did not have childhood so different.
Oh, that's great. That's absolutely fantastic.
And power to the 199.
Power to the 199, indeed. John Maynor with the 499.
Vash, tomorrow when we have the every Thursday we release a new vacation radio set list, and tomorrow one of the songs is called 199, and it's in the style of 60s surf music, so it's a lot of fun.
It's pretty good. I like that. Oh, Kitty Cat has already made its appearance right now. Drink. John Maynor with the 499. I would suggest calling my pirates court of spies. Oh.
John Maynor says, darn you, iPhone. I would suggest calling my pirates court of spies. That's what he had to be saying. Yeah, well, we're happy to be a court of spies. And, we haven't scooped as much in the past, but today and tonight, it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, even tomorrow, we've had more stories tomorrow where it turns out a lot of the scoops that we had are coming true. I'll have to get back on that too.
Interesting indeed. Bob Ross with $20. My toilet seat is woolen. Ooh.
Man, I was trying to think of stuff like that, and I was slow in the joke. I thought of burlap, and then I thought, well, I don't really know if a burlap toilet seat would be a problem or not. I'm not familiar with burlap.
It would be very uncomfortable.
See, why didn't I just go with my gut?
I don't know.
I was afraid, Culture. I was afraid that I would have said a burlap toilet seat, and all of you would have laughed at me and been like,
"No, that's straight up itchy scratchy. That's no bueno, dude."
Should have went with what I thought I knew.
Yeah. You know what? Don't second guess yourself, bro.
Show's ruined.
Yeah, you've gotten so far by not second guessing yourself.
Channel
there you go. You sir were quoted by Forbes. Sir.
Nope, I flew too close to the sun, and I refused to go where I needed to go with the toilet seat joke. And
you could have said, because I think that what the super chat was golden toilet seats. You could have said, "Hey, yeah, we traded in those golden ones in order to go with the burlap ones in order to take."
You
that
could have said
cash to the
lead.
production." It was just amazing.
But here's the problem: you do not want lead poisoning from a toilet seat. That'd be weird.
Yeah, there are dangers of toilet seats. Lead toilet seats even add more peril to it. So, dear public restrooms, no ideas from this show, please.
Okay.
Folks, if you can come up with, I see
have high class stuff on this show.
That's right. I see sandpapers being listed out there, folks. If you know of a substance, not some sort of liquid, but if you know of a material that would be absolutely not what you should put on a toilet seat, and don't come up with the obvious things like barbed wire or anything like that. Like if you come up with
thumbtacks,
tell us. No thumbtacks. That's anything that makes us cringe or wince is not fair game. Okay, not fair game. All right. Well, you know what is fair game, Vash? Do you know what's fair game, Vash?
Well, I don't. Please inform me, bro.
Hitting the news. But before we do, we've got one more. This is not a super chat, but this is important. It's from I am JZT Me, which I think stands for I'm Just Me. How can you get a membership if you do not have a join button? I do not have access to a PC. Well, the join button is typically located on the right side of the Pro logo. If you can find that, click the join button. And if you can't find the join button, simply make sure that you have gifted memberships receiving set as being on inside your options. Culture, do you recall how to go to those options? Select that. All right, folks, there you go from Culture Casino, an expert in all things turning on the options for gifted membership.
I wish.
He wishes. All right, folks. Well, we wish we could hit the new. Wait a minute. Someone's got a good one. Hadn't thought of that. Aldo's Journal for a 199. Power to the 199 says aluminum foil. Now, Aldo, aluminum foil, or how do we say it in England?
Aluminium.
Aluminium? That's right. Why did they throw the extra I in? Anyway, aluminium. Folks, that's for hats. That's to protect you from the aliens, not to protect your bohunkus. Come on, Aldo. Come on. All right. And final one, and then we do have to hit the news. Vash, read it for me, please.
Wait,
I am. Let's say Cohen Film with $10. I'm waiting to see what toilet seat Doge comes up with. Ooh,
yeah, absolutely. Lauren, your enormous mind, your mental capabilities have been set upon figuring out a toilet seat issue. Please share with us.
Aluminum foil would absolutely be appropriate to protect your bohunkus. Remember, aliens also probe.
Well, I don't want to get too technical on the anatomy of potty time, but you're going to need to cover more than just the seat area if that's the case. All right.
Well, we got to cover this one right here. Snarky Distinct with $49.99. Please share a childhood memory. A Nintendo one, perhaps.
Okay. Around the horn, quick, Vash. Memory from your childhood, specifically Nintendo, if you can.
Oh, well, whenever those cartridges wouldn't work, blowing in them, which you're not supposed to do, well, that was a pretty cool thing because it could make you feel like a wizard sometimes where it's like, oh, it's not working. Let me go ahead, blow this in, boom. And then the SNES?
I'm convinced saliva really did make the electricity flow in the cartridge. Culture, memory, quick.
I think Mario Kart with my sister. That was really a lot of fun.
Which one? Which Mario Kart?
Oh gosh, I'd Super NES, I think.
Super NES. All right.
Yeah.
Going to Kevin.
Whatever the first one was. I mean, I'm old, so.
Yeah, Super
Back when
NES.
the items were on the ground. Kevin, go.
Playing the Friday the 13th game on the original NES and finding Jason for the first time and screaming like a lunatic because it was horrifying.
That was traumatic, Kevin. Thank you. Lorne!
Can I give you 3 separate ones?
Of course you can, Lorne, only because you're Lorne.
So 3 that are stuck in my mind. I did get the Power Glove. It was a disappointment, but it was awesome. It was awesome to have. And two separate Christmases. One was the year that Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, came out, and I spent all Christmas Day playing that game. Another was when the original Game Boy came out, and likewise, it was one of those times when I thought I was never going to get this for Christmas, but there it was, and it just made my whole Christmas that year.
Fantastic. You know, those gifts, when they come with some meaning behind them, you don't forget them. And listen, I'll be a little bit more, here's some levity for you folks. My memory is the first time I played Duck Hunt. And when that dog laughed at me, it was on. That light gun was turned on the dog, but there was no result. It was cruel and unusual that you couldn't take out that dog laughing at you.
So can I give you a cheat?
Please.
If you had the Power Glove, do you remember that player 2 playing Duck Hunt could control the ducks?
I somewhat remember that, but you could only control the left and the right, correct?
I think you could control up and down too, if I remember right. But either way, the way the Power Glove worked was that there was an audio sensor that sat on top of your TV so that it could tell where you were pointing the glove, and that was all based on where you centered the glove. So if you wanted the cheat at Duck Hunt, you could control player 2 with the Power Glove, hold the zapper in that hand, and the ducks would fly right towards your gun.
Oh, never has the game seemed so mature as when you led them to slaughter. All right, well, Power Glove, that got dark real fast.
Did.
All right, folks, we'll get to the rest of the super chats here in a little bit, but first we got to get to the news. And well, let me tell you, this is going to be a very big show tonight. Some of these stories are the kind of stories we typically handle as the headline for the daytime shows, but we got to get to them and get to them now. Here we go, folks. Take a look at this. It's out of the Hollywood Reporter, and what we are finding out is that the legacy media, without a doubt, is now catching up to what we have been telling you. Yes. When we come out and we say with such bravado that we are where the writers, the authors, and the reporters get the headlines for tomorrow's news. Well, folks, it's true. Take a look at this out the Hollywood Reporter by Alex Weprin. YouTube may now be worth $55. Oh no, there's a zero there. $550 billion, and its revenue could soon surpass Disney. Now, just hold your horses for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm here to tell you that it's not that YouTube is going to pass Disney Plus. Oh, that number is way smaller. It's not that YouTube is about to pass Hulu and Disney Plus combined. It's not that YouTube's about to pass Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN. YouTube, just YouTube, just the place you go to videos. Just the place that hosts the WDW Pro Channel, just little old YouTube, is about to surpass everything Disney does. Research firm MoffettNathanson says that the Google-owned video platform is the new king of all media. Now, do you all remember, this has been years that we've been telling you that YouTube should be counted on streaming. And then finally they started counting it on streaming because before they just wanted to do Netflix and Disney and Amazon. They didn't want to let YouTube in. Well, then they started counting YouTube, and YouTube has dominated. And whether they counted it or not didn't matter. It was just that if they counted it, we could actually see what the truth of the matter was when it comes to what people are watching on TV and their tablets and their phones as well. It says, by now, everyone in Hollywood knows YouTube is a dominant player in the video ecosystem, but a prominent Wall Street analyst argues that YouTube still has a long period of growth ahead of it. MoffettNathanson's Michael Nathanson writes in a March 31st note that YouTube should be officially crowned the new king of all media, with engagement topping all other media companies in February's Nielsen Gauge report, and with 2024 revenue of $54.2 billion, second only to Disney. And he predicts that YouTube will surpass Disney in 2025. YouTube doesn't have theme parks. YouTube doesn't have Star Wars. They're happy about that. YouTube doesn't have Marvel. They're probably happy about that too. And they definitely don't have Snow White. And YouTube is going to be all right. They're going to surpass Disney. The Street from Colette Bennett has this. Bennett, I'm kidding. YouTube is about to steal something big from Disney. The House of Mouse may seem like the unshakable king of media to many, unless you've been listening to this channel. But despite how long it's been in the game, a new competitor has arrived to steal the crown. In a recent note, Moffat-Nathanson, principal analyst Michael Nathanson, revealed who Disney is losing in its long-standing lead to, and it's quite the bombshell. YouTube has the potential to become the central aggregator for all things professional video, positioning itself to capture a share of the $85 billion consumer pay TV market and the $30 billion streaming, I don't know what the X stands for, Netflix market in the US, Nathanson wrote. Now, I just want to explain what this means, folks. I just want to explain. When it comes to TV, when it comes to phones, when it comes to anything, those moving pictures, right? Those talkies, YouTube's winning. And the important thing about this is that up until just a few years ago, there were some issues with the platform in which we are now talking to you on, right? When Elon Musk purchased X, something happened, and that was that competition occurred, and YouTube has, I think, been far more permissive in allowing various points of view to occur. And I also would say this, YouTube in that sort of a paradigm, because it is the democratization of entertainment, because anybody, anywhere can start out in their garage and turn themselves into a giant enterprise, because it is an absolute free market system, now with most of the barriers removed. It's proof. It is a proof that people will find good entertainment. And more importantly, the people will make good entertainment. And that's why YouTube is winning. That's why YouTube is dominating. And we had better all hope and pray that YouTube, as it continues to do what it's doing, will maintain itself as a place for free speech, free discourse, and mostly free creativity. Panel, what say you? It's the end of perhaps decades and decades, maybe a half century of Disney dominating, now gone to YouTube.
I mean, when you're not the only game in town and you have this decentralization that happens where people can just, grab their phones or grab any available camera and put themselves on a platform and do it in an entertainment way, or maybe break the mold, so to speak, when it comes to content creation. People are going to go ahead and seek that out. It's interesting. You see the cut the cord happening, right? You see the falling broadcast and linear networks all losing market share to the internet. It's not that they haven't, or the people that were viewing these platforms haven't stopped viewing content. It's just they're getting their content other places. And YouTube is a huge part of that, which is why it should be included on that list. And no surprise, it is dominating as people from all walks of life can present something that no matter the niche can find an audience.
I'll give you a thought on this real quick. Actually, Culture, go ahead. I'll get my thought over in just a second.
Look, it isn't surprising. I mean, with Hollywood and many other outlets not providing any quality entertainment, the fact that we find entertainment in each other, have had a long history. I mean, around the campfire and everywhere else, from the times that we were tribes to, all of it. We are natural storytellers. We are able to converse about things and compare one thing to another. We can summon poetry. We can do all kinds of just interacting that entertain each other. So it's not surprising that we displace the fake storytellers that stopped being able to tell stories. So to me, this isn't a surprise. And I think we're looking at YouTube over 12% by the end of April, if not already approaching 13%. These numbers are going to go nowhere but up. And Disney, if you've noticed, has stopped producing content, or at least slowed it down significantly.
Well, if you take a look at this list, I mean, YouTube now has 11.6%, and that's dominating Disney with the star. And that star stands for, that's Disney Plus, that's Hulu, and that's ESPN all combined together. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about YouTube is there's a little tiny word down below it that says main. And what that main means is that it's only measuring YouTube on TV. And of course, you all know that the main place you watch YouTube might not be TV, but could be on your phones, your tablets, your devices, etc. But Lauren, I've got a question for you. One of the things that I've noticed over the last 2.5 years of doing this is that you and I will often be talking on a panel together, and we'll be discussing what's happening with Star Wars or happening with Indiana Jones or any other film. And there will be a breadcrumb. There'll be an inkling of an opportunity for the writers in Hollywood to do something special. And then you will expose the path that they could take. And it will be meticulous and wonderful. And it's all of this intriguing information that you have. And then the product will come out, and we'll kind of just have that long exhale where we just go, huh. Because they didn't do anything close to what you could come up with, just armchair quarterbacking the thing, and sitting there and saying from your recliner, here's what I think they could do. And they come up with 10% of what you can do on the fly. Lauren, I think that's why people are flocking to YouTube. I think because the geniuses are on YouTube.
Well, that's part of it, but it's also that it's less curated. When you're watching any of the traditional media, then you're watching a corporate machine that is pushing a particular line. You can see that in all kinds of examples when they put up and they show how all the newscasts are reading from the same script. That's kind of eye-opening. We're just a bunch of guys getting together talking here who happen to like each other and like the same things. It's like going out with your buddies and I don't know, going out to dinner or bowling or whatever it is that you do with your buds on the off hours and having a conversation. And we get to invite the audience in here and do that with us, which is something the traditional media can't do. I think that has a lot of appeal for people.
Yep. Well, it builds community, and there's a dynamic nature to that. And this is one of the things. I think it was LW Ghost who was on the panel who said this. He was talking about. I don't remember if it was Don Lemon. I think actually we were talking about Don Lemon. Don Lemon, folks, from CNN was going to get into the podcasting game. Might have been him, might have been Tapper. I don't remember. But LW Ghost said, the problem with that is he won't be able to interact with the community. He doesn't have the ability to, on the fly, talk with people and be part of the conversation. He's used to monologuing. He's not used to pushback. He's not used to the give and take of that. Kevin, I think there's something to be said about the idea that Hollywood, they got a little too full of themselves. And, anybody on cable TV, anybody on the silver screen, whatever, they on the one hand, the movie stars need to be separated away far enough that they're still stars, right? Because that's what a star is. Well, it's far away and you look upon it, you gaze upon it, it shines. And then they kind of bulldoze that by putting the movie stars on social media where they make major faux pas. Hey, Snow White. Hey, Rachel Zegler. And at the same time, they had this arrogance about them when we were able to touch their robe, right? They had this arrogance about them that was nauseating to the average person. And so I think people are also looking for authentic personalities that they can believe in.
Yep. Listen, the free market doesn't love anything more than authenticity. People crave your authentic self. So when we get out here and we talk about it like Lauren said, it's just a bunch of guys having a good time. Expressing their opinions. And even though, we have tons of different channels in this space who cover this similar content, the point of views are very different. The energy is very different, but you can rest assured you're getting someone's honest take. There's no spin, that borrow from Mr. O'Reilly. And this is why YouTube is surging. Sure. YouTube got a little dodgy there, right? From 2019 to 2021. But, because of Elon and the massive change that his acquiring X made, it opened the doors back up. And now we're seeing more voices, get to speak a little bit louder. We're seeing a momentum shift, and you're exposing all of the bad habits that we've all had to put up with for the last 50, 60, 70 years when it comes from the old media. So this isn't a shock. The gap is only going to grow bigger. And it's, as long as everybody sticks to the basic path of just be authentic, there's no end to growth in sight.
Kevin, I want to congratulate you. Not only did you not spin, you also did not bloviate. So well played there, Mr. O'Reilly. Vash, go ahead.
Well, that's also why I think people are really keen nowadays in figuring out who's authentic and who's not. You know, maybe that wasn't so apparent in years prior, but now when you actually see people that are authentic on platforms like YouTube and so forth, and the shows that we do, whether it's the Pro Show or Midnight's Edge or That Park Place or whatever, 6 Minute Daily, you can kind of look at that and go, you know what? These guys are real. These other guys, I don't think they're real. I don't think they're telling me I think they're telling me what I want to hear, maybe, or what I don't want to hear, and they're not being authentic to their true self. So I think that's also very interesting when it comes to the competition between these platforms right here. And I think Culture's right. Look, a lot of these places like Disney Plus, for example, they stopped understanding how to produce great content. Then you have this other platform like YouTube, and it's like they're producing great content every single day, and the production value is getting higher and higher and higher. And it's to the youngest audience, Generation Alpha or Z, it's indistinguishable. Between the big name players and us, and that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, before we change topics, I would say look at the collapse of late night TV. You look at the Carson era, and he generally looked like he was having fun. He played it down the middle. He was a host for everybody. Even shows that were terrible, like the Sinbad one or the Magic Hour. There were guys who were just out there having fun, having conversation. And now we're kind of stuck in an era where you put it on and you're getting lectured. There's no way this person actually believes the nonsense that they're spewing. And you can't change the channel fast enough unless it's Gutfeld. But again, there's a reason why Gutfeld is surging, because it's fun and it feels authentic. So I don't know why these guys don't want to learn the lesson, but hey, I guess it's more fun for us, right?
Well, I've got two things I want to toss to the panel because this is a fascinating conversation. I don't want to lose it. So one thing is, I find it humorous, maybe ironic. Sorry, Atlantis, but I find it a little bit ironic because I got a feeling that the people who run YouTube probably don't like that it has become a place for authenticity that allows these various points of views, and yet it is so powerful in the free market that they can't refuse it. And the second thing I would say is that as we're watching the rise of the new media, and we call it the going extinct, dying dinosaur media, the legacy media, because it's a thing of the past. It's a relic. It is rapidly going away. As we look at that, partly what I think is happening is that people are starving. People are starving for authentic conversations that they wish to be able to have, and yet in many places of the country, they still can't have safe conversations where they respectfully provide their own point of view. And so they go to places where people have the ability to do so, which is what we're doing here, right? Okay?
Yep.
And then the other thing I would say about that, to take that one step further, is that people are also starving to be treated respectfully and with dignity. And I think that if you can't have, and I think I'm onto something important here, and I don't normally say that out loud. If you can't have, people listen to this, if you can't have a respectful conversation where you put out your points of view and you listen to the other side, and the two of you have a amicable sharing of ideas, then you're not respected, period. Because your ideas and what you believe and your ability to convey them to others in a respectful way, if you can't do that, then you aren't being provided with dignity. And what do people want? Everybody wants to be treated in a dignified way. That is the secret sauce that's happening on YouTube every day. Panel?
No,
I can't disagree. I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, especially, in the social media era, you watched discourse kind of take a very sour turn. You could not have even a benign opinion that differed from whatever the majority of the room were saying without almost getting chased out with pitchforks and rotten veggies. So it's people have kind of been afraid to kind of tell the truth. or kind of let you know how they feel. And people crave that space. They humans just need that release in general. So again, having the ability to come here and poke around until you kind of find what you're looking for, that's very powerful. And again, you look at what happened during the lockdowns. I think YouTube was resurgent, because people just weren't liking what they were getting on TV and they couldn't escape it, and YouTube provided them an outlet.
I'm with you there, and I agree with you 100%. The only thing is we had to talk in code in order for us to talk about things for real. And I think that's the biggest thing that we lost from YouTube when Alphabet/Google acquired it, is the ability to speak frankly, because it became moderated with only one perspective involved in that moderation. I think that is the thing that needs to change. I hope that it does soon. There are obviously financial ramifications of not allowing people to speak freely. As much as you would think there'd be some if you let people speak freely. But if you look at it, there's going to be a lot of advertisement that's going to go away. And during that particular era, there was obviously the people that really were advertising for a given reason. And they don't have that reason anymore. So I hope it changes. That's all I think.
Some of it's starting to change with Elon Musk, X, and maybe that green platform that we can't actually say on YouTube, which is funny. I'm bringing that up in this context. But I think some of that's changing, which is good, because it used to be very, very restrictive, not even a couple of years ago.
I think there's a connection. I think there's a connection between the freedom of conversation and the dignity and the acknowledgement of dignity in the people who want to have the conversations. And I think that there's a significant economic reward. I think it's tied into Western civilization even. And I think YouTube being the digital town square that it has become, I think it's always going to succeed in a way that people who want to top-down manage things like Disney, where they tell you what it is you're going to like, it's just never going to work for them. And it's why Bluey is literally the only thing people are watching on Disney Plus anymore, because it's not made by Disney. And it must be the ultimate comeuppance for Disney, is the idea that all of the great things that they're supposed to tell you that you're going to watch, you chose to watch cartoon dogs instead, because they're espousing the values from Australia that Americans want to find on their TV. Something to it.
Yeah.
Vash, it's time for Super Chat, sir. Let's hit them.
Absolutely. Let's see. Josh Bird with $2. Open cell phone. Gross.
On the toilet, I believe. Yes, that would not be a place to take your tuchus.
Interesting. Let's see here. All those Journal with a $4.99. Actual question now. Why do we always talk about Disney's bad stock price, but never mention how Comcast's is lower? Glad to be here listening.
Oh, well, good question.
That is a good question. Okay, so when we talk about Disney's bad stock price, one of the things that we're talking about is the fact that the Disney stock today is similarly positioned as to where it was in 2015. Now, what that means is that the stock market itself has grown by leaps and bounds. The Disney stock is stagnant. Now, we don't give financial advice in any way, but we do bring that up because that's a factual thing that anyone can go look and see. And that often dissuades people from saying, well, you guys are being too critical of Disney. It's like, no, because inflation has deflated the value of your dollars. If you've just been sitting on a Disney stock for 10 years, you've lost a lot. Now, when it comes to Comcast and when it comes to comparisons to other companies, one of the things that you have to know is different companies have different amounts of stocks attached to their companies. And that can affect the value of the stock, depending on how many stock units there are available. Now, I haven't looked into what Comcast was 10 years ago versus today. We can look at that in a minute if we need to. But I have a feeling that Comcast would be differently positioned versus Disney. I think there would be a delta there. The other thing is that Comcast is more difficult to assess in terms of its entertainment offerings, because Comcast, if we're looking at the largesse of that 10 years, is a communications company. And so what we're comparing to Comcast to in terms of stock value is we're comparing it to things like AT&T or I don't know, guys. What are some other telecommunications companies that we might be comparing?
T-Mobile. You would have Verizon.
Yeah. And so Disney is primarily an entertainment company. It's why inside the Dow 30, it's listed as the avatar of entertainment, right? It's there. It's the icon. It's the archon. So Comcast, however, is far more diversified in what it does as a tech giant. So I hope that answers the question, Aldo. And we can go deep into that at some point once the news slows down a bit. We may have a chance in early May. Maybe we can do a video on it.
Yep. Indeed. Thank you so much, Aldo, for that question right there. Highlander 777 with $2. Centipede on Atari was amazing and stress-inducing.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm all about Jumpman. Jumpman was the game on the Atari, and you all know it.
Oh, Jumpman.
You guys don't know Jumpman? Are you guys telling me you don't know Jumpman?
Oh, I know Jumpman.
I think I don't remember that, and I'm old.
Never played it, but I remember.
Not the Jumpman that was Mario's first name, but
It's me.
Actual Jumpman.
Hang
on a second. I want to pull this up real quick.
Okay.
Hang on. Let's see if we can do it. Everybody ready?
You might
Here
want
we go.
to, because
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's see.
Go ahead.
All right, pull down the super chat for a minute. Okay. Here is Jumpman from Atari, and see if you remember this, guys. Come on. Look at that.
That's
you guys
Donkey
played
Kong.
this. You guys know you played this. Well, it's sort of like Donkey Kong, but it's even better than Donkey Kong because the level collapses when it's over. Let me try and get that. Look at that. It moves. It goes to the next level.
Yeah, you're not doing well.
Okay, well,
this is terrible. You did terrible. You weren't playing.
All right, we're gonna find out if anybody played Jumpman out there with a poll. You know what? We polls around here.
Everybody else is looking at you like, what is he talking about?
Oh, come on. Lorne played Jumpman like 72 hours a week back in the day.
I don't believe you.
I didn't have an Atari. I did have a ColecoVision.
Oh, I thought you were going to be a Commodore guy.
Nope.
I had a Commodore too. I had an Atari. I had a Coleco. I had an Intellivision. I had a VIC-20, then a Commodore 64. I had all the things when the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES came out, then the SNES. It was either I had it or one of my siblings did. And
had the NES and then the SNES and then a computer. And that
let me tell you, I've messed up. I put the poll as, did you play Jumpman on Atari? And now people are out there saying, wait a minute, I did play Jumpman, but it wasn't on Atari. It was on the Commodore 64. If you played it on any system, you let me know. If you played Jumpman.
When I did visit friends to play on their Ataris, my biggest game was Pitfall.
Oh, yeah, that's a big winner.
Yeah, I've run in my series of pitfalls.
Bob Ross with the $20. I have Bob Iger printed toilet paper. Ooh.
Oh boy.
Man.
I would say that might feel like sandpaper, but I could be wrong.
A little oily.
When you use it, do you call it the Iger sanction?
Oh boy.
Good stuff right there. Cyrano 2960 with the $5. Put the money in the jukebox. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We're 16 out of 20, folks. That's right. And Vacation Radio will have the new song coming out. We'll play it early for all of you.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Neil 89 with the $5. I'm sorry, Steele. I love that trades are describing YouTube's rise as if describing theft. I guess it makes them feel better than saying, quote, conquered. Ooh, I like that.
I like that they finally realize that as YouTube is, making more on its streaming platform than Disney is on everything Disney does. And now they're like, hey fellas, I think YouTube's a big deal now. Maybe we should write some articles about that. Yeah, welcome to the club. Glad you guys caught on 3 years too late.
Welcome to the party, pal. Albertus Magnus with the $4.99. What Iger is doing is politics, not economics, business, nor entertainment. To leftists like Iger, politics trumps absolutely everything, even money.
So I have a slightly different take on Bob. Mm-hmm. I think this was true a few years ago when he, in 2019-ish. I think the Bob of today if I had to assess what's really going on, I think the Bob of today is trying to get past each quarter.
Yep.
Make the quarter in which he exists look as good as he can until he can get out. That's the goal, I think.
Well, he's got a lot of problems though. He's got material that the audience is widely rejecting. He's got a streaming service that is, never going to compete. He has tried for years and failed to make everybody believe that he is running a tech company, not an entertainment company. And he has been obfuscating the actual operations numbers for his theme parks for so long that if he ever stops doing that, the shareholders, institutional or no, are going to bail out and flee like rats from a sinking ship. And that's just the first three things I can think of.
Well, but his goal is to get to 2026 any way he possibly can. Scratch. And remember, too, they blew all the ammo they had to stop Nelson Peltz.
Yep.
And we said when that happened, we were like, well, that's it. They have nothing else. So it's going to be a rough ride, and rough ride it is.
Rough ride it is. I think the people within the company maybe got ahead of him in terms of leftist politics more than he may have been anticipating. 89 with the $2. I'm going to leave this to you, Culture, because if I say this, it's not going to sound right.
Okay. We was tribes and she.
Okay, fine. Oh boy. Thank you so much, Neil.
What? I thought I did that right. Did I do that right?
You did.
I thought
you did.
Lovely.
I didn't say the bad word.
You didn't. Cyrano 2960 with the $5. If YouTube is offering fair shakes, why can't you use proper words? Is unlike, does this control content? Oh, interesting.
So this is a great question, Cyrano, and I'm going to defend YouTube lightly here because there are times when this system is used in a way that I don't like. So I'm going to lightly defend them as in theory. And the way I'm going to defend them is there is a vast sea of content that is created every single day. And the amount of content, the volume of content that is created on YouTube is such that no human being and no army of human beings on earth could possibly moderate it and moderate it well. Because the idea that any person could come into a live stream and appropriately understand the context of the jokes being made and then parse that out in a way that would make everybody happy is unlikely. Okay. So then what do you do then? Well, the system that YouTube has chosen is an algorithmic system in which code, AI, is sitting there listening, and it's trying to detect, are you stealing content? Are you using copyrighted content without permission? Are you saying things that would drive away advertisers and might be perceived as inappropriate in a way that would be unacceptable, illegal, etc.? Okay. So mistakes are made there. But it's at a threshold low enough that they've been able to overtake Disney. But the key thing is, in terms of what you're asking, the algorithms, the codes, they're looking for particular words and phrases that likely would lead to content that is ill-intended. And what that means is that we have to dance a bit on this channel and other channels because we understand that when we're trying to put out informative content, that the algorithm, the AI, is still listening for those phrases. And even though we're using them in the right way, it doesn't understand that. And so we have to avoid particular phrases. And so even to this day, some people still say the coof. And what that means is a phrase or a word that raises a red flag within the robots. But that's the best that YouTube has currently. Can it be further refined to be better? Absolutely. But that's my very light defense with the acknowledgement that there are times when I don't agree with the decisions made.
And here's where I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, tell me where I'm wrong, Lauren.
Oh, Section 230 provides protections for platforms, not publishers, so that if you are using speech that is illegal or in other ways offensive, that the platform provider cannot be held legally responsible. It is not YouTube's job to police what we're doing. It's parents' job to police access to YouTube so that people who don't need to see that content shouldn't see it.
Well, so that's a complicated response.
Yeah.
Let me say this briefly. I'm not advocating or arguing in favor that YouTube is doing that as a legal obligation. And I'm not arguing it based on the idea that they have an ethical or a moral imperative to do so.
No, but that's the fig leaf that they're using.
Well, to me, it's purely economic. They're trying to make it be a place where advertisers feel that they can advertise their goods without being associated with particular things that they would not want to appear beside or within. Now, that's a deep conversation, so maybe we need to have that at some point, Lauren. That would be an awesome video and conversation, but I think we'll tarry too long if we stay with it.
That's what I said. Meanwhile, on YouTube Kids,
Kevin, you're muted.
Oh,
there we go.
I say,
No, he was good.
Oh,
no, you're good. You're good, Kevin.
He was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
it was meanwhile on YouTube Kids. It is an absolute disaster.
Oh, well, yes, and for reasons that we won't describe, lest we get in that same situation we just described. But yes, it's a real problem.
Indeed. MHEP with the $5. No message. There you go.
That's right. We'll be watching, and MHEP, if you meant to say something, say it again. We'll get it. We'll get it up on the screen for you.
Absolutely. Non-deplume with a $1.99. People are sick of getting smoke enemas.
Well, don't watch Lost.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, non-deplume. Power of the $1.99. Gilliam the second with the $5. The YouTube code words hurt. I wonder if historians in the future will have trouble figuring out what we were talking about. Yeah, indeed.
I think there's context for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pro.
No. I think you're on the same thing I'm going to say. We use a thesaurus here, and if you're articulate, it's a challenge sometimes, but you have to find the way to say what you got to say to keep your megaphone.
Indeed.
Yeah, if I had direct access to an influential politician, I would be having them go sniffing around platform rectums for unpleasant aromas to solve this problem.
Well, and yet you did the same thing you were describing as you criticized it. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Indeed. MHEP with another $10. Muses whispers fade as greatness falls from sight. Forgotten words like autumn leaves lost in the light.
Well, that is
a
deep comment, and speaking, I believe, to the idea of free speech. But I could be wrong, and that's the beauty of such a deep statement, is it can apply to many domains.
Indeed.
Wrecking the freedom.
60.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Culture. Sorry.
Nah, just a little German confusion there. Enjoy.
You're a Wunderkind, Culture. You're a Wunderkind.
No confusion here. Cyrano 2960 gifting 1 WDW Pro memberships.
And you know what? Cyrano has been out there dropping chats and dropping. You know what? We're going to play the clip. We're going to play it. Thank you, Cyrano.
I'm going to steal all the clips. I've decided.
You're like the Grinch of clips. You're going to take them from Whoville?
No, I'm going to leave them here, but I'm stealing them because I'm going to use them on my channel.
Oh, you're free to have them. Yeah. Go ahead.
They're amazing, and these people are amazing too.
That's right. They're our people, baby.
That's right.
Absolutely. Doc, BTW with $2. If YouTube returns to censorship, it becomes a MySpace. That's rough.
You know, that's true.
Yes.
Hey, Culture, are you still in my top 8 on MySpace? You're still in the top 8.
Well, you're in my top 8.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, yeah. Well, I have questions about your music choices. Sometimes I go to your page and I'm like, what is that?
Well,
but overall, it's fine.
I think polka's timeless.
Well,
one of the first jobs I ever had.
At least it's not marching band. Then I would think you were a serial killer.
Let's just. I'll pause for a moment because as I was talking about polka, Vash went into an anecdote about one of his first jobs, and we're not going to let that go.
Uh-oh.
Was that somehow in the polka industry?
Not in the polka industry, but one of the first jobs I ever had was creating MySpace profiles for my friends there.
Oh, wow.
That's better. I was worried. I was like, Vash was the accordion cleaner.
Yeah, he worked for Weird Al Yankovic. Didn't you know that?
No,
Yeah, exactly. I was midnighting as typewriter repairman, and in the daytime,
Midnighting.
All right, Bermuda Schwartz, get the next super chat up. We got about time for two more.
Sorry, shush.
I'm just me with 999. Thank you, Lauren, for trying.
Lord,
I tried.
Lauren is one of my people. You're one of my favorite.
It's good stuff. John Maynor with $5. My favorite Atari games were Food Fight and Snoopy and the Red Baron.
Hey, I love the Red Baron. That was a cool game.
That was cool.
A frame
Awesome
rate,
stuff.
not so great, but still cool.
Dude, I was happy for more than 8 bits. So I don't know what you're complaining about.
8 bits and 8 frames per second. That's the way we do it.
I don't know if you can read this comment.
Let's see. Aldo Shirtle with the 199. I played Snake on my mom's BlackBerry. There you go.
I think dropping the S solved the problem there.
Yeah.
Lauren, it's very important to read it literally. All right, here we go, folks.
Rebecca Ruth with the gifting of 5 WDW Pro memberships.
Thank you, Rebecca. Very kind and greatly appreciated.
God dang it, from the bottom of our hearts here on the WDW Pro Channel, thank you.
You're the one who's out of this world, sweet baby. You're the one who's out of this world.
Reminds me of Mexican Iron Man, how many shares he bought, what price he did. Sorry.
All right, last super chat, then we're going to get to the news, Vash.
Yep. Aldo's Journal with the 199. I have a Bob Showerhead. Water comes from the mouth. Oh,
wow.
Aldo is on a roll. Now I'm starting to wonder about that prior super chat. All right.
Uh-oh.
Folks, it's time for the next story. We've got a good one, and we can't wait to bring it to you. That is that, it's tied to the first one, actually, related to Disney and Disney Plus, and they are absolutely stuck. How stuck are they? Well, ladies and gentlemen, get ready because we've got some more Nielsen for you. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, right here out of Nielsen. It is the current list for February 24th through March 2nd, 2025. That's the most recent that they have. And it's really, really fascinating for one particular reason. Let's examine, please. Here's the top 10 for the last week of February. Reacher, Zero Day, Love is Blind, Running Point, Family Guy, Bluey, Despicable Me 4, Venom, The Last Dance, The White Lotus, and Grey's Anatomy. But here's what's more important. Let me call them out again, and this time by streaming platform. Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix, Peacock, Netflix, Max, Hulu, Netflix. Well, what if we go to the originals? On the originals, we've got Reacher, Zero Day, Love is Blind, Running Point, 1923, Severance, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frank, Paradise, American Murder, and then Cobra Kai. Let me read those streaming services again. Prime Video, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Apple TV Plus, Hulu, Netflix. Yeah, I'm going to become a auctioneer one day. Let's go to movies, and I'm going to skip acquired for a particular reason. Going to movies, this really matters. Here are the top 10 movies on streaming for the final week of February, which is the most recent week we have. Despicable Me 4, Venom the Last Dance, Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, To Catch a Killer, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Counterattack, Watcher, The Gorge, Trial by Fire, Squad 36. And again, just to keep the pattern going, here are the streaming services in which they appear. Netflix, Peacock, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Netflix, Apple TV Plus, Netflix. Folks, do you notice what I'm not calling out?
Yep.
There's no Disney Plus. In fact, the only place in which Disney Plus appears is on Acquired. Bluey. It's a show Disney doesn't make. It's a show that Disney has often been at odds with, censoring their episodes, and trust me, they shouldn't censor them. Meanwhile, they have stuff like Louder and Prouder that's on Disney Plus that has stuff that's just inflammatory. They don't censor that, but they censor episodes of Bluey. Come on. They don't make it, and yet it's the only thing that has the Disney name attached to it, even though Disney doesn't make it, own it, can't license it, etc. Bluey is it. For all intents and purposes, Disney Plus is gone from Nielsen. And the most important thing to look at is the fact that there are no Disney movies in the top 10. There's no Moana. There's no Frozen. There's no Encanto. There's no nothing. There's no Marvel. There's no Star Wars. There is no Pixar. There's no Disney animation. Disney is out of the top 10 movie list. This is, I think, catastrophic for the House of Mouse. Yes, you can find Hulu there. But Disney Plus, the flagship streaming service, I don't think they can hide it anymore. It is in absolute red flag, red alert mode. And I'll go to Kevin first on this. Kevin, where's Disney and why is it not there?
Disney is, Disney's where it's supposed to be. Nowhere. Because they've done this to themselves. They stopped, not only have they stopped producing content, they stopped producing content that anybody cares about, or anybody wants to see, and anybody trusts. This has been a long time in the making, and we're finally in the comeuppance phase. I wish I had a little bit more to say, but that's just kind of the meat and potatoes of it, right? Like, Disney does not provide a family experience. It has no desire to. It's invested a lot of money in preaching and giving you magic lesbians who can make babies with the power of their minds, and it's just no one's interested in it. No one cares. So everybody else has moved on. You're in trouble when Paramount Plus is doing better than you.
I was going to say the power of many, Kevin, but it's fine.
These numbers really upset me. They really do, because think about it. The company has attempted to, the Walt Disney Company that is, has attempted to compete with the biggest players in the streaming game, that being Netflix and a couple of others, to the degree that they spent in 2021 $30 billion on content. And again, 2022, they spent $33 billion on content. That's almost twice as much as Netflix is spending on content this year at about $18 billion. And with all that money spent and taking it out of the parks in order to do that, they're nowhere even on these charts. Not even on movies, which is something that they dominated for years. But they haven't been able to produce a movie in like a decade that's really been a cultural phenomenon that people can pick up and watch over and over and over and over again, unless it's like Moana and a couple of others. It's so frustrating as a Parks fan to see the amount of money wasted on the entertainment division on creatives who have no idea what they're doing, who are not in tune with the audience, and just urinating that money down the drain. While the parks, they have been suffering from a lack of investment for years now, and that's the thing that's actually making the money, not this entertainment content. Frustrating.
The idea was that from Disney, the idea was that although they were a theme park company, they were going to be primarily a streaming company, and the theme parks were secondary. So they treated the theme parks as if they were secondary. And the problem is that they're not a streaming company. Now, they've acquired at great expense things like Hulu, which the entire Fox purchase plus Hulu is, in excess of $70 billion. So the idea that they're ever going to profit off this is crazy. The news will say, and Disney will say, well, we achieved profitability in the last quarter. And it's like, yeah, you made $1 million more than you spent in that quarter, but you're in the hole something like $100 billion. And that's no lie. Listen, folks, that's what we have analyzed this to be, is approximately, according to our best estimates, approximately $100 billion spent on streaming. And they brag about making $1.25 million. Listen, this is not going well for Disney. And it's not just that it's not going well. It's also that the efforts to do this Reimagine Tomorrow, and all of this cultural battle kind of thing, it decimated them. Disney should dominate the top 10 movies. And you know why Disney should dominate the top 10 movies? Because Disney should be a babysitting service when it comes to movies, right? Let's go to the movies again.
Yep.
Disney, and 2 years ago when Disney Plus had almost no subscribers in comparison to today, they dominated this list. Yes. They're nowhere to be seen now. They're nowhere to be seen because families don't trust their kids to sit and watch the movies. That was the whole, that was the kit and caboodle for the House of Mouse was, your kid can sit there and watch Frozen 17 times. Now parents can't do that because they're not willing to walk away. And I'm not suggesting it was ever a good idea to let your kid sit there and watch hour after hour of streaming. I think that's a bad idea, but that's what the economic reality was.
Oh, yes. And if you guys are thinking, well, you know what? They've made a lot of money at the box office, though. So, it keeps that creative engine alive and at least keeps the money train a-flowing. Well, from what I understand, I believe the theatrical division within Disney hasn't turned a profit since, I thought it was Q2 of 2021. I got to look at that again, but it's been a long time. So even from an economic enterprise, even if you're not just looking at these ratings here, it's just been a complete failure, a complete and utter failure from stem to stern. And it's really unfortunate because it didn't have to be this way. And my question to the panel is on all of this, why would you ever stuff Hulu into Disney Plus when Disney Plus has been associated, I think, for a long time now with inferior quality?
Yeah.
Well, Hulu should be the flagship streaming service right now. Disney is a minor afterthought. That's why on Nielsen they're chunking it all together, is because it's embarrassing to Disney to have Hulu beat Disney Plus, and that's where we're about to be. Lauren, when we look at the list, though, it's obvious that the big players from Disney are nowhere to be found. There's no Marvel, there's no Star Wars, right? And when they do appear, it's briefly and it's at the bottom of the list. So, it seems to me that what we've seen at the box office is also true in streaming, and that seems to me to be a reflection of the decline culturally in the power of these franchises. What wiped out Disney in terms of at least these boy brand franchises, Lauren?
They decided they didn't like boys.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I mean, really, that's what it is. They decided that they were going to deliberately not give the audience what they wanted and instead give them the vegetables that they didn't want. One of the things that we talked about on the latest Genre Guys movie that we reviewed, it was Disney's Robin Hood. And the question was asked by Hangry, why does this one appeal to me where the modern stuff doesn't? And the answer that I gave is that they weren't pandering to one side of the audience. They actually had something for both the boys and the girls in Robin Hood. And part of that was providing a chivalric example of how a male should act. Robin and Marion, they have a courtly romance story that appealed to boys. And nobody knows how to write that stuff anymore. So that's a lot of where they lost it. If you want to appeal to boys, you have to show them a target that they should be hitting morally and show them how to overcome adversity. That's the message that boys are looking for.
Well, see, Lauren, okay, so that would require Disney to acknowledge that males have an anatomical difference from females, and that there's a biological proclivity for males to be stronger, faster, larger, and therefore males, it is apparent that males then therefore should attempt to defend and to provide and to protect to the best of their ability, and that if they operate in the opposite way, then they're scurrilous. But that's the chivalric thing that you're discussing that's present in Robin Hood, and it's a vision for boys and what they could be if they aimed themselves in the right way. But again, that goes back to Disney acknowledging that there's a difference in the sexes, and Disney up until 5 minutes ago is not willing to do that. But and Lauren, you can tackle that if you want to on a rebuttal. But also, Lauren, they're bringing Luke Skywalker back to the parks. They're bringing the original characters back to the parks. I don't think it's because they suddenly thought, we just haven't had enough Luke lately. I think that actually they've declined to such a degree that it's the only thing they can do now. They've got to go back to these characters that inspired. I don't know that they know how to write them in an inspirational way anymore, but do you think, Lauren, that it's finally gotten through to them? Like, do you think when you see Luke in the parks now that maybe Disney has said, we're losing too much on this hill?
I think that's the right way to frame it. I think that they understand that they're in some trouble, but I don't think this is the message that they want to give. They still haven't got that message. They still think that they can sprinkle in parts of their ideology. They're still going to try and push that line wherever they possibly can. They're going to try and do it a little more stealthily, but I don't think that they have the mindset that men or boys are particularly desirable. They don't think that there is anything that is positive about masculinity. That's why they call it toxic masculinity. They would rather infuse more feminine traits onto males or lose them as the audience entirely.
What do you think about that, Kevin? The idea that they neutered masculinity inside the corporation, like top to bottom, bottom to top, all of Disney, and maybe that's why, beyond just, if we're trying to figure out, like, philosophically, what killed the company, what caused them to lose the cultural battle, and no longer do parents want to hand their kids over to Disney, is that sort of what sits nested at the bottom of all this?
Yeah, listen, it was intentional. It was intentional, and it happened over the span of, I would say, very slowly, probably over decades, and then roughly around 2012, 2013 is when they lost their collective minds and decided to allow the nonsense to pierce the veil and tell everybody what they were doing. I don't think that they've actually learned the lesson. I think that this is them being forced to acquiesce as little as they can stomach. They're going to do this as long as it's they think they have to. And here's why. So Star Wars is it's pretty much dead, right? We're in the middle of a death rattle. We dragged out Luke at the parks because we kind of had to, but if they were really serious about fixing it, don't you think they would have turned around and said, "Here's a Luke Skywalker animated series voiced by Mark Hamill"?
Well, maybe the Mark Hamill. The problem with him is, of course, he'll ruin you at this point. He's like Rachel Zegler. He's like Mark Ruffalo. He's like John Boyega. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely see that it would be wise to find someone who can sound like Mark, and I'm sure there are actors out there who do so. Guys, you've articulated this way. I mean, really, it's been fascinating to me to think about the idea that actually at the heart of this might be the reduction, or at least the handing off of masculinity to women instead. The girl boss idea. Vash, I see you're wanting to hop in. Get in here, please.
Yes, I heard something very, very interesting, which was it's not really left versus right. It's masculinity versus femininity. And to expand that point out even further, I think it's the perversion of both. It's a perversion of masculinity and making it toxic, and the perversion of femininity in which you attribute masculine traits to the female form there. And I think, George Lucas was so profound in the works of Joseph Campbell and following those and those teachings and so forth.
Wait a minute, Vash. That's not what John Boyega said. He didn't think that George was so smart. But go ahead. I'll
yeah.
You go against John Boyega if you want to.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to go against him directly, but I will say that the George Lucas was so profound in that because he understood what resonated throughout the cultures, throughout the times, throughout the languages and language barriers and so forth. He understood that no matter where that story was actually coming from or emanating from, there were certain particular traits that kept repeating and so forth. And I think one of those things is, like Lauren was saying right there, masculinity, true masculinity and true femininity. And for the company to get away from that, because the Princess brand used to be so unbelievably popular for them. Where's that now? Where's Star Wars now? Where's Marvel now? It's so muddled and perverted and so forth that these brands don't really stand out anymore, and they've receded back in terms of the popularity and cultural appeal.
Sorry to jump in. The along with the one, yes, you turned masculinity and femininity and you made them antagonistic of each other while chopping down masculinity to raise up toxic femininity. But the crisis really started when you remove the morality tale from storytelling. Everybody understands basic moral lessons, and I'm talking super simple stuff like forgiveness, honesty, embracing family, teamwork, cooperation, bettering yourself. These are the things that were the kings of early content. I wish Lou was here, because I would ask him about when they made the switch from to dump the hokey rule content and switch over to more gritty urban stuff, because I think that's where you really started to see the change. We left Mayberry and introduced Huggy Bear, and you started to very slowly see the erosion of clearly defined good guys versus bad guys.
Are you talking about the dropping of the Hays Code? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, very so. Yeah, so it's like you see, like as you move through the decades, good guys become less good, right? How often when was the last time you saw a police drama where all the cops were actually good guys trying to do the right thing for the right reason? When was the last time you saw a competent father on a show who didn't have some kind of deep flaw, wasn't a philanderer, but didn't abandon the family at some point in time? You're not allowed to be good for the sake of being good, and if you are, it's sometimes played for laughs, or they will go out of their way to diminish you somehow. And without that purity of storytelling, it's just innate. Human beings understand good versus evil. People want to do the right things, and you've removed that from storytelling.
It does. We've been too focused on, everybody's a flawed individual. So, you're 100% right. The morality tale's been abandoned. You want your heroes to fail, but not fail because they're evil or do anything for ill intent. The failure becomes a growing opportunity, a point of growth or learning in whatever way it is. And I think that the difference is, specifically with the example cited a few moments ago with Robin Hood, it's very clear, and you have a role model in Robin. The people are being treated terribly. So they rob from the rich to give to the poor. And there's a reason behind what they're doing. It could be portrayed as wrong. At the same time, morally, what they're doing would be correct. It's doing something for the right reason. It has been abandoned. And that's why now we deconstruct constantly the heroes. The heroes are deconstructed and the villains are elevated, because they're misunderstood. Well, look, I promise you, if the people are identifying with the villains, they're the villains in their own story, and they're the villains to culture, and they have been since, well before 2013. But I agree with you. We've failed to tell positive stories around one gender while trying to lift up artificially another, filling them with the attributes that they don't possess, and vice versa. I mean, I'm sorry, there's not a whole lot of soft guys out there that are not having a soy latte every day. So it's just, it's a weird position that we're in. And by the way, I hate the term toxic masculinity, not for any other reason that it's improperly used every single time it's said, because that comes straight out of prisons. It has to do with prison culture, not with anything outside of there. Yep. So the fact that it is continually restated and has now been adopted by people who are not clinicians, they're just fools.
Co-opted, I believe you mean, culture. And by the way...
Oh, did I not say co-opt? What did I say?
I think maybe you did. Maybe you did.
No. Seriously, what did I say? I don't remember. I don't recall. It's that many. I'm that old. I don't know.
Well, lest we take a trip down memory lane, and that was 5 seconds ago.
Sorry.
We have a good piece of news for Kevin Apollo, because when he asks, he receives.
Ooh.
Who could that be? Let's go see, boys and girls.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a look. It is LW Ghost here.
Well, I didn't want you to be all using my name in vain, as they say, so I thought I better show up. Thank you for all the many kind allusions, attributes, and what have you. I must make a terrible confession. Never in my life have I had a soy latte.
That's not a terrible admission. That's
wanted one. But the bottom line on all of this stuff, envy. I know from speaking with many of you about some of the things I've been involved with that you guys admired and respected the great families that I was happy to be a technical part of in the course of my career. These people didn't admire and respect them. They envied them to the point where they wanted to denigrate them. They envied them to the point where they wanted to make them disappear from the lexicon. And that's what it's all about. It's a victim mentality that is encouraged by people who want to victimize and use them. So it's not really complicated. It's insidious, but it's not really complicated, in my opinion.
Well, Lou, share with us your thoughts on exactly what it means for Disney to be basically off the charts for Nielsen and to have reached a point of cultural irrelevancy where the only reason that we talk about them so much at this point in the legacy media is because they're a legacy item with vast economic power still from a century of what Walt built. But in terms of producing things today that people get really excited about, they have pockets of success, but the largesse of what they do is not successful in any way. So what do you think about that, Lou, and how did it happen? And what do you think? Where do you think we're going with Disney?
Well,
Are we at a revelatory point yet?
You know, one of the things I always try and point out when we do genre guys is how recent all of this stuff is. How it wasn't that very long ago that we had great movies with great characters and people you gave a darn about, and suddenly it all went away. And it's not that long since that happened. And you got to date it to the whole woke DEI thing. And as I've said in many ways here and on the website and what have you, they thought they were writing the world's future history, and surprise, it was a flash in the pan. But when it takes you 5 or 6 years to do things, whether it's a theme park ride or a movie or anything else, a lot can happen in those 5 or 6 years. And they were encouraged by their success in dominating the world through the COVID scams. You know, they were encouraged by the fact that, hey, we pulled it off and we got it and we're in charge and we're not looking back from here. And surprise, because when you say that about their economic dominance or their few successes, failures, it's about a hell of a lot more than economics. It's about their cultural place in the entire history of our arts and our families and our homes and our relationships with our kids and with our parents. You know, that's the memories that people make at the parks. That's the memories that people make at the movies. That's the reason why you could release them every 7 years and people came back and came back and came back. It's something, you know, I once heard Michael Eisner say that he had this weird feeling once that literally babies were born with those 3 circles, you know, the big one and the 2 little ones somehow implanted in their brains and in their eyes because of the way they reacted to it with theoretically no precedent in their lives. Well, it's true. And they took all of that and said, nah, we don't need that. We're going to remake the world in our own image. And surprise, the world decided not to cooperate. So
that's right. The image that was crafted by Walt was utterly successful. And this new one, not so much.
And Walt did not invent it at all.
Very true. No,
Walt saw it and understood it because he'd lived it, because his family had lived it. And he just said, you know, look, read the inscriptions around Disneyland, read the stuff at the flagpole, read the stuff over the door about, you know, here you leave behind and the hard truths and all those other things. I don't care where you're from in the world. It's the American dream that's involved in Disney. And that's not a bad thing if you happen to be from England or Germany or China or anywhere else, because it's the most successful dream and the most realized dream in the history of mankind, period.
And to wrap this up, that's why in China, it's Mickey Avenue instead of Main Street USA. Because Main Street USA is so powerful.
Yeah.
They couldn't allow it.
Well, you know, they tell stories about during the Watts riots, which I lived through in LA, about how the Soviet TV people who never showed anything as far as live news from America put that on live, showing the looters and the rioters in Russia to show people, see that terrible capitalist system. And you know what the people in the Russian households were thinking when they saw it? My God, those people carrying off all those washing machines and refrigerators and bicycles. God, they got a lot of those over there. How come we don't have that? So the law of unintended consequences is a pretty powerful thing.
Absolutely. All right, well, Vash, let's hit the super chats. And Lou, may we borrow you for one more segment tonight?
I am borrowable, as you know. I am a river to my people. As
well, we shall be indebted
said.
to you, sir. Vash, let's get the super chats up on the screen.
Indeed. Snarky to Stink with the $20. Thank you so much. I appreciate the sharing earlier. VR did a lot on Nintendo today. You will be touching on the new Switch. And would you consider a nostalgic video game discussion discussing Nintendo of the past and the panel's favorites?
So this is a funny thing. We will probably talk about Nintendo tomorrow on the Pro Show. The problem that I have is that YouTube, when you do something and you do it well, and I'm not trying to make that claim about the channel, but when you do something and you get views, YouTube rewards you for doing that same thing again. And when you step out of the lane in which YouTube believes you should inhabit, it doesn't like it very much. And over the past years, we have not found, although I am someone who tries to know a lot about video games, we have not found success covering that on this channel, whereas places like That Game Place do find success because it's been labeled as a gaming channel. So we'll cover it, but I can't do as many videos as say we do with Snow White on gaming. It would have to happen on another channel, the Pro Gaming channel. But that's why we have That Game Place with Culture Casino and the rest who are on there doing that every time, giving you the best info you need. So check out Valiant Renegade's coverage as well as That Game Place and thatparkplace.com, where we're covering gaming every single day. Thank you, Mr. Nugget.
Thank you. Hep with the $5. That was the loss of ideas. The muses are no more. We are stuck in an era. I'll stop with poems.
No. Listen, ideas articulated is the conversation that we must have.
Indeed. Snarky to Stink with the $1.99 stink clip. All right.
You want me to play a clip about stinkiness? I don't think I've got a clip that's just about stink. Oh wait, I do.
Well, I did do and say horrible, regrettable things.
That was way better than what I was going to play.
She couldn't even act that. Believably.
Nom de Plume, member for 14 months. 30 billion? What is that? Like 2 shows for Disney's bloated budgets. Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. No, don't get me started. It's terrible. Net Steal with $5. Worst Disney movie, John Carter or Snow White? Ooh.
Snow White.
Oh, yep. Snow White, without question.
By far.
John Carter is unfairly maligned. That was actually a pretty good movie.
I think so too.
The budget was so stupidly high. I think John Carter should actually go down in the history books as one of the first films that helped us realize we could go anywhere with the new special effects capabilities. It's just, it was destroyed by its own budget.
Well, I don't think it was just that. I think part of the problem is that it was such an old property that people didn't realize that it wasn't derivative of other properties. It was the inspiration for a lot of the properties that people were comparing it to.
And as we just explored when we did Big Trouble in Little China the other night, Lauren, we talked about how the first script took place in the 1880s San Francisco, and they decided first taking the audience to the Old West and then going into the Chinese magic was a bridge too far. Well, I think John Carter suffered from being a science fiction film and a Western film and a Civil War film, and people just couldn't wrap their heads around it, even though that's the original material. So that might have had something to do with its failure.
Yeah. It's one that's perplexing even today as to why it didn't resonate. Richard James with the 264. Can you say money laundering?
I would not say it 3 times fast, though. It might call Bob Iger. No, I kid, folks. I kid. That's a joke. It's in jest. I promise.
Snarky to Stink with $20. Had my first adjustment yesterday at the chiropractor. Man, I feel like $1 million today. Very incremental changes. I have a long way to go, but wow, I feel good. Navigate fuel tanks on commercial airplanes. Big help.
There you go. And a lot of people get serious help from chiropractors. I have been before. Let me tell you though, those little tables they put you on, the tables themselves, where the parts of the tables like collapse and raise and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Felt a little. The special effects there felt a little bit cheesy.
Well, my favorite chiropractor thing is I used to go to one in Valencia, California, had a great sign in his waiting room, and it said, almost every day people say to us, I thought it would go away. So it's a great idea about not, procrastinating, getting help for something and not just be a chiropractor. So
That's right. Absolutely.
The artist formerly known as John with a 499. No message.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the donation.
Thank you. Green Hat with $5. I refuse to call this Abomination Disney Company. Disney was incapable of this level of incompetence. The other company is incapable of any competence. Indeed.
Yeah, and it's something we keep in mind. I am not a fan of the fact that they use Walt Disney's name over and over for things that he would not approve of.
Yep. Indeed. Mr. M. Hep with $5. A Disney magical cap to wear with glee. Its price isn't clear, but its magic's free.
Now, wait a minute. The poetry continues. And frankly, it's washing away the blues from the audience. Keep it up, folks.
Indeed, I like it. Snarky Distinct with another 199. Who wants a rant from Lorne? I do. Lorne Unleash.
Dance, monkey, dance.
I don't think I have the energy for a rant tonight, but I'm sure something will make me mad in the next few days, and I'll come up with something.
Hang on a second. What if I make something up for you, Lorne? I heard that Kathleen Kennedy just drove over to George Lucas's property and took a poop right there in his driveway. She just squatted and did it.
You mean without benefit of a multi-surface toilet seat?
Nope.
I don't live at George Lucas's place. Why do I care?
Well, he might step in it, Lorne. Do you want George is 80 years old? Do you want him stepping in Kathleen Kennedy defecation?
He's been doing that for years.
Yeah, I think he did that about 13 years ago.
Please beat me. I can't. There's nothing better that can be said. That was well played.
You all don't know this, but in our private backstage stuff I sent to Pro, we've gotten a bunch of attention recently in Forbes and elsewhere. I said, I'm imagining thousands of people who knew nothing about us, who saw it in Forbes and said, gee, I ought to check that channel out. And tonight they said, hey, there's a live stream. I'll see what it's all about. And you spent the first 30 minutes talking about what to cover your toilet seat with. And they thought, what the heck is wrong with Forbes?
What is this? What have I come upon?
It was done purposely. So I'll tell you this. And the reason is Lou and I were having a conversation before the show. And he was saying, something to the effect of, well, I knew you when. And I said, this is not going to go to my head. I said, because I'm talking to a guy who shaped an entire generation's TV shoes.
Nah.
Yeah. Listen to me. Yeah. I get you over there. What you did?
I did a few. There were a lot I could have done I didn't do, but I don't like working with a-holes. So that was my pickiness and my poverty by comparison. So there you go.
Indeed. Kane Bars with $5. Lorne, as the resident Star Wars expert, what are your thoughts on John Boyega's recent statement when it came to Star Wars? Do you see a future for him?
Well, I was listening to a bunch of the stories about this yesterday, and I actually think this was a restatement of comments that he had made some time ago. This felt to me like an old story that suddenly got recycled back in the press. So I don't know if he was saying the same things again, or if they were just bringing up an old story. Either way, it's ridiculous. Lucas has always been very progressive. It was always a multiracial story, and Lando is one of the biggest heroes in the rebellion. It's like he was directly responsible, along with Wedge, for taking out the second Death Star. Samuel L. Jackson is Mace Windu, and everybody thought that was awesome. And I would also argue, if I was going to talk to John directly, we all watched when The Force Awakens was about to come out, when he put out a video showing him and his friends being extremely excited to be in this movie. Everybody was excited about it. Everybody was excited to see what his character was going to become. Personally, I felt that the most exciting part about The Force Awakens was when he and Poe escaped from the First Order, and they had this kind of a buddy cop kind of a situation going, and I thought, now this is a dynamic duo. These are the guys that I want to follow. And they never did anything with it. They completely wasted John's character. John's right to be angry about what happened, but he's directing his anger at the wrong place. It wasn't the fans who used your character incorrectly. That was the writers. It wasn't the fans who reduced your image on the Chinese posters. That was Disney. If you want to point your finger at somebody, you need to look at Rian Johnson, you need to look at Kathleen Kennedy, and you need to look at the Disney Corporation as a whole. I don't like what you're saying here, John. I think you're saying it because you're hurt and you're angry. We support you. Not when you say things like this, but we wanted better for your character you and the audience deserved it.
And
Well
let's just
said.
one what we can. Highlander 777 for 5. Lauren, what are your thoughts on Pikmin?
I'm not going to talk about that. They're ugly and disgusting.
He hates Pikmin. He hates them.
All right. Well, Vash, we're going to go to the next story, and we
Please.
will come back to the rest of the super chats. But Vash, I'm going to hand you the reins for a moment. Now, I'm still going to be here, but if you could pull up the next story, please. It's the Forbes article that talks about Rivers of America. And Vash, you go from being producer extraordinaire now to narrator supreme.
Indeed. A article dropped this morning, that being from Forbes, Miss Caroline Reed, Disney facing furious backlash over $17 billion theme park investments. What are they talking about? Well, of course they're talking about what you've been hearing from this channel and others, which is essentially that Disney is going to pave over Paradise and put in a parking lot. It's more like a dirt track filled with cars, and that Paradise is Rivers of America, but you get the idea right here. Let's go ahead and read just a little bit of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and skip around because this is a very long article to digest here. Disney's Magic Kingdom in Orlando has...
Pause for just a second. We want to give a shout out to Caroline Reed over at Forbes for covering this. We need more large institutions to recognize that this is actually a direct threat to the investors of Disney. Not here to give financial advice, but I'm here to tell you, when you start vastly altering 1/4 of the biggest, most attended park in the world that drives the economics for Walt Disney World, which is by far the biggest revenue driver for the company, that's a major risk. And there aren't enough publications out there identifying the level of risk that is happening here. Go ahead, Vash.
Absolutely. And we're going to get into the investment side in just a second here. Disney's Magic Kingdom in Orlando has long been known as the most magical place on Earth, but fans and industry luminaries have warned that incoming changes could cast a dark spell on the historic theme park. I'm going to skip down a lot because it is a very long article. Here you go.
And we recommend you go read it, folks. Go read it in its entirety. It's wonderful.
Wonderful article. A total of 2,825 acres are reportedly suitable for development, with a further 2,256 acres described as being marginally suitable. That right there is talking about Walt Disney World and the area around the parks like Magic Kingdom, Disney's Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot. So just to give you a little bit of clarification there, it is one of the reasons why Disney's chief executive Bob Iger said last year that, quote, "We have thousands of acres of lands to develop. We could actually build 7 new full lands if we wanted to around the world." I do believe Bob Iger was misquoted in saying that, because the company's own statements suggest, when you look at right here, September 19, 2023, Disney plans to expand park investment, doubling capital expenditures over the next 10 years. They said that, in fact, Disney parks have over 1,000 acres of land for possible future development to expand theme parks space across its existing sites, the equivalent of about 7 new Disneyland parks. Okay, to give you an example, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is about 14 acres, so 1,000 is a lot. That's critical to understanding the story, because Disney is taking what? Maximum's got to be 10 acres in Rivers of America and paving over that when they have thousands available.
And they seem obsessed with destroying things that already exist, not increasing the footprint, the size of their parks. I think it has to do with wanting to make sure they don't have to spend any more on maintenance on expansions. And so what they do is they retrofit things that people love into things that they don't love, and then they call that an expansion when it isn't one at all.
Correct. Disney Experiences division, which includes its theme parks and cruise liners, accounted for just over a third of its $88.9 billion in revenue, but more than 2/3 of its $12.9 billion operating income in the year to September 30th, 2023, and didn't go unnoticed. In a bid to boost Disney's stock price, its chief executive Bob Iger and Josh Giamaro, chairman of its Experiences division, got out their magic wands. In September 2023, they revealed that over the next decade, Disney's investment in experiences would nearly double to roughly $60 billion. And as Caroline Reed points out...
Hold on a second, Vash. We need to clarify here, too, that we did the math on this. And because the Disney experiences, because that encompasses more than just the parks, the way that number was divvied up, we actually believe that the expenditures on the parks are at best the same as they already were. It's just marketing. It's just marketing slogans.
Right. And they are, infinitesimally smaller when you talk about $60 billion over 10 years versus $30 billion on a year of content alone.
And
it's
that includes
infinitesimally
maintenance. That includes upgrades and upkeep on existing
Correct.
stuff. It isn't just new stuff, and it's
Right.
worldwide.
Right.
Right.
Hold on, Vash. You said $33 billion on content spend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that $60 billion is over 10 years for the parks, right?
Correct.
So that's $6 billion for the parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to $33 billion for content. And by the way, the $6 billion for the parks, no, because that division includes cruise lines, which they're spending a ton on. So when you get down to it, and then you consider the number of parks that Disney has, there are 4 parks alone at Walt Disney World.
And 25 plus hotels as well, DVC locations and so forth. So it's not just all going into the parks. This was a
amount is laughable, but it's packaged in the best possible way for Disney to take a victory lap when none is deserved.
Indeed. In June last year, it got approval for a $17 billion 15-year plan to develop Disney World. Again, investors weren't convinced, and the stock price plummeted to 1.46% to close at 101.50 on that day the approval was given. The development plan needed the final vote from Orlando's local district, and when they signed off on it on June 12th, Disney's share price dropped another 0.4%. By then, theme park fans were eagerly awaiting news of what the new attractions were in store for Disney World, and they got it in August of last year at the Media Giants biennial D23 convention. And that's when we first got the news that we were going to get Cars Land in Magic Kingdom. Good stuff. Concept art showed that the Cars Land would be located in the Frontierland section of the Magic Kingdom Park and would feature 2 completely new attractions.
Where was this supposed to go originally, Vash? Where were we told? What was the big slogan, the big name that Disney gave us?
Beyond Big Thunder was the big slogan that was used by Josh Giamaro and others. Actually, not even at this D23, but the previous one, I believe that was held in 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, that was a real expansion, though, and we can't have any of that. And so now, instead of Beyond Big Thunder, now it's the Blunder Beside Thunder.
Indeed. Although the theme wasn't a surprise, the location of the Cars Land was. Based on the concept art, the dirt track of the flagship attraction appeared to be replacing the beloved Rivers of America along with its island and steamboat. It left fans in a state of shock, and it wasn't until February this year that it all started to get real. The catalyst was Disney receiving official approval from the South Florida Water Management District to make fundamental changes to the Rivers of America at Tom Sawyer's Island. It was clear that the plans were moving forward, but the theme park community still seemed to harbor hopes that Disney could do a U-turn for the replacement would be a worthy successor to such a historic attraction. The final straw only came when Disney posted a video of the new attraction on its social media last month. Far from looking majestic, like the riverboat or an oasis of nature like Tom Sawyer's Island, the video showed a ride vehicle resembling an all-terrain vehicle, ATV, racing around a dusty dirt track. It fueled an almighty uproar on social media. Quote, "Nobody wants this to replace Rivers of America," wrote the incisive theme park industry commentator WDW Pro. Now,
Hey, I know him.
I think we know him from somewhere. Now, the observer called John replied to Disney's post saying, "No one wants this," a sentiment which was echoed widely, with Kate Fisher adding, "I don't know how we can make this any clearer to you. We don't want this." And it goes on to include Jim Shull, Eddie Soto, and the extended That Park Place community all joining in and saying, "We do not want this. This is terrible. This is bad." And I think Caroline Reed really sums up thusly just how terrible of a mistake this is and its impact that it'll have on the company if they go forward with this in their beloved Magic Kingdom theme park at Walt Disney World, accounting for 1/3 of overall operating income or profit for the entire company.
Well, now, so we want to thank Caroline Reed for including, my commentary, and she does it again another time in the article, I believe. Also including That Park Place. I think it's fantastic. In fact, I'm more enthused that she included Eddie Soto and Jim Shull because they're former Imagineers who have solutions for how Disney can fix this, and they're not listening. Doesn't seem to me that they're not Eddie Soto and Jim Shull, but Disney's not listening. The tragedy of all this is that they have the land to do what they need to do. What I think the story aspect of this, folks, because we've covered this ad nauseum, what a horrible idea this is, how it's so risky to the stock, so risky and unnecessarily so. The story here is that it's about time that we have places, and thank goodness for Caroline Reed, but it's time for it to go beyond Forbes too now. It's time for other publications to be covering this. Lauren, their plan is to take out the classic timelessness of Walt Disney and replace it with a dirt track with a vehicle moving 5 miles per hour, whatever, it might go 15. You can't actually do off-road because it's going to be litigation territory every single day as people get jostled. So they can't do that. So you're going to get this very mild, tame, silly thing that destroys Frontierland and Liberty Square and all that. Lauren, why is the company dedicated to destroying the classic stuff that Walt made that people love it, especially when they have the land to just do other things?
Honestly, it's because they're Philistines. They look at Tom Sawyer Island as a dated property. They don't think that anybody reads or knows anything about Tom Sawyer today. To them, it's a throwback. It's past its prime and it needs to be replaced. They don't seem to understand that part of the reason that people go to Main Street USA and go to Tom Sawyer Island or ride the Liberty Bell is to return to a past that maybe they didn't even know, so they can experience something that felt like the wholesome America that you always wanted to inhabit, when everybody knew their neighbor, everybody got together for barbecues and Sunday dinner, and it was a simpler time. That's what you're going there. It's a faux experience, but it's still an experience that you can simulate. And that, to me, is the tragedy of getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island and the Liberty Bell. It's destroying history. It is destroying something that was important to Walt, that was part of Walt's DNA. And it's all because they think nobody cares about this stuff anymore. They're about to find out that they care more than they think. And I think that it's a tragedy that they're doing what they're doing.
Absolutely. And
can I suggest what they hate?
Go for it.
They have no problem with rivers. The word "of" is irrelevant. It's that third word in there that they've got a problem with.
America.
Yep. And the same thing with, I'm just shocked they haven't just renamed it Main Street instead of Main Street USA.
Well, we've heard rumors about that. The Liberty Square, I think, is in danger at this point, and the only thing that's going to stop them is a backlash that says, "Hey, the company's value is going to be toast if you all continue to go for this ideological nonsense of stripping away the Americana that was purposefully put in there by Walt." Now, we're going to continue to have this conversation in just a moment, but we're going to lose Lauren, and before we do, we want to make sure he gets a chance to answer these super chats. Vash, make a note of the time on this. All right, Lauren, let me put these up, and I'm going to read these for brevity's sake. Tony Movie Chappie D9, Neil Blomkamp Fans for $4.99 says, Lauren, what do you think went wrong with Kathleen Kennedy, heir of Star Wars TV shows and the sequel trilogy in general?
Hubris, mostly. Kathleen was never a fan of the Star Wars property. She saw it as a vehicle to inject her own ideology into it. I think she came in with a chip on her shoulder, feeling like she never got the proper recognition for what she felt her contributions for movies were in the past, and she was going to show everybody what she could do. But the audience rejected it, and I think she's been bitter about it ever since.
Also for Lauren, we've got this one. It is from Justin LW 2001 for $10. It says, I agree with Lauren on John B. Disney ruined Finn and Poe. Instead of having three archetypes, knight, swashbuckler, and leader. For three characters, they gave it all to Rey. John is mad at the wrong people.
Yeah, he definitely is. It wasn't the fans that did this. The fans wanted him to have a proper story arc. What they did with him is kind of baffling because, I mean, you have to believe that it was Ryan that derailed the whole thing, because I think that JJ was setting him up to be a big character. But Ryan wanted to subvert it at every opportunity, and that's what happened. After they did that, I don't think they felt they had a viable way to recover.
And finally, Lauren, this one is not directly addressed to you, but it deals with things that you said. For $9.99 from Tony again, it says, I like John Carter a lot and didn't deserve to bomb at the box office. The marketing is what killed that movie. Should have titled it John Carter, Prince of Mars.
Maybe. I think part of it may also have been, for some reason, the audience never really embraced Taylor Kitsch. And I thought that he did a fine job. I've liked him in the movies that I've seen him in. But for some reason, I just think that he didn't catch on as a leading man. And I feel like that had a lot to do with the failure as well. Also, these were not completely faithful adaptations. They kind of smashed a couple of the books together and they kind of glossed over some things. And so I think it may have been confusing for people who weren't already familiar with the material.
Well, Lauren, it's been a pleasure as always to have you join us. It's an elevation of the content every single time. Thank you for lifting up the conversation, Lauren. Until the next time, hope you have a great time. And thanks for sharing that beautiful mind with the audience out there.
You bet. Have a great time, guys. I will see you all real soon.
Good night,
Lauren.
Love you. All right, we're going to go to culture now. Culture, we are talking, of course, about the destruction of Rivers of America. It is an economic risk that is unnecessary for the Walt Disney Company, but they seem determined to do so. Do you think that we're now going to see publications get involved with this and maybe some other influential entities, or do you think that this is all just part of the funerary process?
Look, it might be, but and let the mourning begin. But I'll say it this way: if there are people at these publications, these powerful publications that people pay attention to, that have credibility still, which there are not many of, I mean, let's be honest, that still have a sense of nostalgia for that part of the park, if they still feel a tug at the heartstrings, which is what nostalgia is, if they long for the better, more simple days that time offered, if they feel that way, if the authors and the editors that are working at these prestigious places elect to write things like this, then yeah, I think it could have a profound effect. This article specifically does not lend itself to engender Disney to the investors that they so count on. Now, that doesn't speak to the 16% of the ownership, which is the institutionals who have a chokehold on what the board of directors looks like and what the next president may look like or CEO may look like. But what it does do is it brings public attention to the fact that Disney's a drowning company. They're a company without identity right now. They've abandoned their identity. They've abandoned families, as I've pointed out many times, and they've done it in favor of politics, and everything that Lauren said was correct. But at the same time, Disney wants to present a business argument, and they're going to eventually get to the one that I suggested a long time ago, which is eliminating all of these attractions and this wasted space in order to, increase capacity, which is impossible. It's going to reduce capacity because you're going to, obviously take attractions out of the mix. But they'll have less maintenance. They won't have to maintain the water. And, there's not any water in Florida. I mean, it's not a state that's surrounded by water or filled with water.
This culture.
Yeah.
Eddie Soto is a legendary Imagineer. He was in charge and executed extremely well the Disneyland Main Street, everything about it, basically. And the decor. Yeah, thank you, Paris. Not Disneyland proper, folks. That's a faux pas on Pro part. Eddie Soto
worked on that too as well. He brought
he's been around for a long time. If he was
not that long, that long.
Yeah. But he worked with people who did. Okay, so Eddie has a plan here. He's put out exactly how they could redirect the Rivers of America, and they don't lose any of the ambiance whatsoever. And functionally, it remains. They have all the rooms they need for cars. They have all the room they need for villains, and it's not disruptive to Frontierland. Why? Why, culture? Why are they taking an unnecessary risk? What's the point? He's got the solution right here.
Well, I mean, this all comes back to the favorite team that we all enjoy, that are named something else now, that put into place the Tiana's disastrous bayou of not workingness that destroyed Splash Mountain. And again, these ideas were conceived to get rid of, as, LW Ghost already said, America. These people hate America. The fact that Main Street hasn't been touched is a miracle. And
it was in the plans. I think they had planned to
try.
I believe that's the case.
And they canceled the theater. Yeah, it was going to be behind Main Street too.
Yeah, and look, it's not that they're lacking for land, and as Eddie Soto conveniently drew within the borders of the current berm that's there. But if you're going to go outside of the berm for Villains Land, there's no reason you couldn't go outside the berm for whatever this disaster is.
Listen, Tron's past the berm. Space Mountain is past the berm. The show building for Pirates is it's not a big deal. You can go beyond.
And by the way, when I first heard they want to bring cars to Magic Kingdom, I thought, well, it's a natural. You put it behind Big Thunder, and it's Route 66 out there, and you bring Radiator Springs to Disney World.
Yeah.
And ditto the Indiana Jones thing, which was the same ride system, the same track as Dinosaurs. What the heck? It's cheaper to replicate than to start over again. They could have saved money besides, but that's not their goal.
Yes, but it'll take 7 years, Lou. See, Tron took 7 years to get built. But let me point out a better fit for it. It was where it was going to go, right next to Pixar. Wait, it is Pixar. It was going to go where we already have Pixar, right next to Star Wars, when it was rotated about 20 degrees the other way. Yeah. Back when those blueprints existed, and you were going to get Hoth and Tatooine and the Endor Moon.
And where would Disney be right now if they'd included all those things that people wanted out of Star Wars? If they'd just given the guests what they want, they wouldn't have to be terrified of Epic Universe right now.
Well, and they could build a lot of other villains versus heroes attractions that have already been designed and set on a shelf in the blue sky. There are so many attractions that were conceived of and created and were supposed to be in place in either Magic Kingdom or, in the case of Jolly Holiday, the attraction for Mary Poppins. That was supposed to be in Epcot. We didn't get it, and it was even that version that was presented for Project Gamma was a cut down version of the attraction. So I've been infuriated at Disney for the better part of 2 decades now. Ever since in 2011, I was saying, if they do this with Fast Pass Plus, if they do this Magic Band Bologna Sausage 2G and NGE next thing, gen. The next gen project, you are going to absolutely see pay to play Fast Passes in a decade. It took them a little longer than that, but they got it done. And when they started testing the system in 2013, if I remember correctly, does that sound right, Vash?
Yep.
I had the opportunity to go and use both Legacy FastPass and the Magic Band technology with the 3 given rides during the course of the day, and I was like, oh boy, the Legacy's not here for much longer. Knew that was going to disappear and knew we were going to end up where we are, and it's worse than I ever conceived of. You are literally back to the ticket system, folks, where you're paying for a park entry at an exorbitant rate, and now you're paying for an additional ticket so that you can go on an attraction that, well, you're settled on. And with, again, back to Magic Kingdom, with the fact that the attraction count at Magic Kingdom is already limited in comparison with Disneyland, this is disastrous.
And I agree. I absolutely. I want to go to Kevin though, real quick. Kevin, you've got a history of making some of these theme park things. What are your thoughts on this idea that Disney doesn't want to expand? That instead they want to destroy what clearly works. And I know some people say, well, at Rivers of America, I don't ride the boat and I don't go on the island. It's like, well, yeah, but you walk by the waters and the serene views and all of this that makes it be a park instead of feeling like you've went to an outdoor mall trying to separate every single Benjamin from your wallet that they can find. Kevin, what's up with the no expansion idea there on two?
Listen, a lot of it has to do with the culture and the leadership that they built in that side of that organization. They are as anti-Americana as you can get. So it's the mindset is just pervasive. But in terms of making money, it's bizarre. People want to go for experience. People want the magic. When you take away the magic, you're not going to be able to get it back. You can't replicate it again. And now you're making ill will. It's just silly. It's silly. This is one of the eternally frustrating things that I feel whenever we have to talk about Disney, because it all defies logic. Listen, when you are in the attractions industry, it's your North Star is pretty clear. That you create memorable experiences for people, and that means you go big, you go bold, you innovate. You innovate, and if you're not doing it every 5 years, you're wasting everybody's time. And They just seem to be intent on tearing down the old for the sake of they don't have any new ideas. And I don't think that they want to have to contrast their failures with old successes. And they also don't have the ambition to go expand / they're being cheap. Right? It's if we don't have to if we don't really truly expand and just say we did, I don't have to pay someone to go over there and go do the work. It's about being cheap and saving payroll and trying to reduce insurance liabilities. But for a long-term strategy, it's you're doomed to failure. It's nonsense. It's rubbish.
Just quickly. There's one little thing I would add. If what you're paying for now is, as you guys have said, you're buying the admission ticket and then the ride separately via these variations on Fast Pass, whatever. If what you're paying for is just the right to walk through the atmosphere, and they kill the atmosphere, then basically add the Fast Pass to the admission price, and that's the real price of admission. And people are not going to be so stupid as not to figure that out. Yeah. If that atmosphere is gone because you tore out the river to put up a parking lot, like you said, then why am I going at all? Especially, look at Celestial Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing over that Epic Universe. Truly.
Yeah. So it's just stupid. That's
folks, that's where we're going to leave it. Sorry, Vash, but we got to wrap it right there because, well, the news never stops, but even we have to sleep in order to cover it. But we're in deep, and it looks like Disney is in deep as well when it comes to Rivers of America. Hopefully they don't wind up draining it. It's going to drain them, I believe, and their value. But that's where we are. All right, Vash, let's get to Super Chat, sir.
M. Hap with $5 thrills and chills at Universal Skate. Movie magic meets adventure. Unique fate.
Indeed.
Go and Shogi member for 10 months. Remember when... Oh, sorry about that. Go and Shogi member for 10 months. Remember when Daddy wasn't there? Was a funny Austin Powers song and not an anthem for a generation.
I'm sorry, I thought he was an aging hipster.
Backing Protons with the $5. Remember, kids, don't whiz on the electric fence. I'm at the show start. Can you tell?
Don't you whiz on the electric fence.
Must not zoom time speed and get caught up right there. Cannon Barnes with the $5. Culture, you make great points, but I will always love to identify with Darth Vader.
Look at Culture's face. Culture's trying to figure out exactly.
Because it's with and not as identifying.
That's right.
Stark and Distinct with the 199. Look at your banner, Pro. Is there an R in toilet?
Look at your banner, Pro. Is there an R in toilet?
Turlet.
Turlet.
Yeah, the turlet.
Oh, the old turlet, eh?
Yeah. Did you put somebody in the turlet?
I would never give somebody a swirly in the turlet.
I see. Don DePlume with the 999. The problem with Disney is they can't create an idealized male figure for young boys to aspire to because they fundamentally believe that men have no shortage of moral failings because they are male.
Amen.
Right. Exactly. Nom de Plume, we can't say any better than that. You've nailed it. That is at the base of what Disney is losing and why they're losing their base of customers.
Based.
Thank you.
Richard James with $2. Yeah, for Lou's apparition.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll just tell you, we did the member exclusive panel, and it didn't go so well, not because we didn't have a good time, but because a lot of members didn't get in because of a YouTube glitch. We're going to fix that. We told about it at the beginning of the show. But we asked the panelists who are some of their favorite people that appear on the Pro channel, and our VI Pro and Premium level members, so many of them said LW Ghost. Lou, you are greatly appreciated, sir.
You are loved, my friend.
That is overwhelming, and thank you very much. But hey, I'm just some guy, Say fuck.
Well, I'm going to go see some guy here real soon, about 3.5 weeks from now.
I have tea for you and other good things.
I can't wait.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Cannon Barnes with the $5. Love you, Lou. Thank you for sharing your bountiful wisdom. It does not fall on deaf ears.
Golly, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. I just say what comes into my mind. I'm total spontaneity, and that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. And if you want to find more Lou, well, you got to join that pod place where we cover Hollywood Backlot with Lou and you. Lou Westman goes over here. Take your questions. It's a good show.
Every Sunday at
Great
2,
show.
live.
Great
live.
show. Great to
Indeed.
listen to when you're trying to, accomplish tasks that you would prefer not to do. It's inspiring.
I love that. M. Hep with the $5. If Disney wants to make a movie that appeals to young boys, it's simple. The Frog Prince used the unclaimed IP to knock a boy movie out of the park.
The Frog Prince used the unclaimed IP to knock a boy movie out of the park. Well, that would be interesting. I'm up for it. Let's see what happens there. I don't think they're going to do it because I think they would believe that's competing with Tiana.
Can we, since Snow White's so old, let's just gender swap Snow White.
The dude's laying there.
He's just like, where's that boss, babe? Where is she?
Kind of gives a whole new meaning to "Someday My Prince Will Come."
It's going to have to be a poison snake because no dude is going to be tricked by an apple. It's going to have to be a poison prime rib.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
Tri-tip.
Kiwi.
What kiwi?
Could be an Adam's apple.
Easy now. Easy now.
Albertus Magnus with the 199. Ghost is 100% correct. Excellent analysis. Well, as always.
There you go.
Well,
Always.
Indeed.
Always.
Justin LW 2001 became a new YouTube member.
Welcome
I tell you
aboard.
what level.
Happy to have you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. Snarky Distinct with the another 199. The previous banner, Laterist.
Oh no! Do we have a typo in one of the?
You must have typed fat finger.
Oh boy! We'll have to fix that in post. Jonah.
I doubt it.
No way. No, it's going to be crop is what that's going to be.
There, look. Here it is. I'll put it back up there. Only Bluey, a non-Disney produced show, appears in latest streaming ratings. No. Latest. You know how we'll fix that? We'll just zoom the camera slightly in so that it's
just
not a
zoom
at the
it.
bottom. Yeah.
I was wondering why you put us all in little boxes. You're checkboxing us, bro.
Vash, make a note for that segment. We'll have to zoomify. Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Zoom.
Go ahead and do that. Justin LW 2001 with $5. I watch your videos through the day and always catch your live streams at the end. Glad to catch a bit more of it. Thanks for the entertainment.
Thank you.
Justin, it's the honor of a lifetime that we get to spend time with you wherever you are on this blue marble. We're always overjoyed to hear that we're on the devices and in the days of people who come our way. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Let me see here. The artist formerly known as John with the 199. Culture Rocket Rods rocked same with Brown Derby.
Okay.
Riddle me this, Culture. What are you going to say?
Okay. Rocket Rods was a short-lived attraction that utterly destroyed the foundational elements of the People Mover at Disneyland.
Right.
It was ill-conceived for, what it was. Had they just retrofit a little bit of technology into what would have been a normal, grand tour of Tomorrowland, that would have been perfectly fine. But right now, in the sections that haven't been removed, you lost a classic legendary attraction that allowed you to sit on your bahunkus, as Pro would say, for, that 8 to 12 minutes, however long it was, and just enjoy that little bit of transportation ride that was also filled with some unique views and visions you could not see anywhere else. And for a while,
worse than the flying saucers.
It was much better than having weird things there, but it was lovely because you could go either experience Tron in a tunnel or Star Wars in a tunnel because of
Over
that tunnel.
5,000 person capacity as well.
Yeah, and it was lovely.
And most importantly, see parts of those rides you couldn't see from the ride.
Exactly,
especially with Star Wars, with Star Tours.
Exactly, yeah, and the rocket jets or whatever they were called at Disneyland, Astro jets or whatnot. Yeah, that was cool because you could see them almost at the same, at a different angle, still slightly below them. What I think I missed most in Tomorrowland was probably the Mission to Mars. That was that was there as well, because you kind of went passing by that. There was a lot of things that I missed now. I'm very angry about. I'll have to think about that. But as far as Brown Derby, it's a lovely place to eat.
Yeah.
And it's
Trees of Green, Tom Sawyer 2.
There you go.
I remember when Disney loved you, and I think to myself, all right, next super chat.
It's a Cobb salad.
Irate specialist with the 199 to replace Bent Key. We need a that film place.
No, see, we don't replace, we innovate. There's the difference.
Well, we will have original content coming out. We haven't made announcements yet, and in a few weeks, Culture and I, he doesn't know this yet, we're going to sit down and have some chats about what we might be doing.
I'm excited.
I can't wait to partner with Culture in ways not even the Holly Weirds are prepared for.
There we go.
Old Renaissance Boomer has 2 super chats. We're going to go ahead and read them simultaneously, both for $2. The Last Jedi is the OJ Chase of Star Wars. Disney, quote, erase everything, Walt and America.
Listen, I think Rose, Tico, and Finn should have been in a Bronco. I agree.
Yeah.
Can I just say, you're going to run out of gas. You're going to run out of gas in Star Wars.
Should have been a Bronco.
And look, if we go to light speed, they're going to catch us. What?
Well, they're going to go 2x light speed next.
Ludicrous speed.
Hold on maneuvers as well. Don't forget about that.
Plaid. Go ahead, Vash.
John Maynor with $10. Bob Iger is intentionally effacing Disney World, which has suffered billions in losses due to the company's failed attempt to target and alienate families during its dispute with Florida.
We said in the past with Andrew of Legal Mindset, and we stand by it, probably about $1 trillion. It's going to be a price tag. And that's not fully been felt yet. The media's not talking about it, but they weren't talking about YouTube dominating Disney Plus until yesterday. And we have. So
and there are four people on this panel, and I'm going to say it this way: you're not catering to people that have children. Your future is dim, just like you are, for not catering to people who are going to have children.
Cater to the kids. Cater to the kids. They'll grow up and bring.
My tagline is: it's worse than that because you're scaring people away who have children. When I first heard that person called the theater that the guy reported into Pro about, is it safe?
Oh yeah.
My first image was of Marathon Man. Is it safe to take my kids to the theater to see a Disney movie, for God's sakes?
Absolutely.
Generational.
Starting to stink with the 1999 destroy everything, make less money or no money, and hit bottom. Iger already lies about everything and gets away with it. The stock has been essentially static for years. Break it, just break it already.
Well, I think it's broke, and that's no joke. I think Vash broke himself. Vash read the super chat and exited. He's done. He's over, Snarky. You've deleted Vash from the internet. You guys remember him? Do you remember when we had a producer on the show? Uh-oh. I sense that he's returning, but I don't know if he's ready yet. Snarky, I agree with you. And Vash does too. He didn't leave you hanging. He meant it. Every word of it. Every word.
Yes.
Vash, are you okay?
Yes. I am fine. My keyboard.
When you left,
slipped,
I thought we would
for
not
some
feel
reason-
so all alone because everybody must get stones.
Yeah.
But anyway,
my keyboard slipped into my hand as I had it, and I hit the backspace, and that took me out.
Vash, we got one more super chat, and then we're going to hit bonus member chats.
Cool. Snarky to Stink with the 199. 5 people.
5 people.
Oh, I've got 5 people in my family.
All right. Well, here we go, folks. Bonus member chats. They're there. Always check the community tab to see if there's a opportunity for bonus member chats. William Thompson says, I'm available for this panel. Well, William, the next time we see that hat around, we're going to have to invite you on. Old Man Hatfield said, no show. Things happen. Oh, no. Nom de Plume says, we're having a show tonight. Yes, folks, it's all right to join us every Wednesday at 10 p.m. for the foreseeable future. We were going to be doing this and reviewing Daredevil. That got dumped because nobody's watching Daredevil. Karen Owen says, a lot of discussion in chat about Star Wars EU novels. I'm willing to help Lauren and other experts answer questions on those. If somebody could come up with the right format on the right platform, doesn't really fit in that park place or that game place. Well, Karen, that's where that pod place comes in handy. Reach out to Vash. We'll see what we can do. And here we go from Aurora Uplinks. We love getting these from Aurora. Star Wars film idea. A family on a mining operation have to escape and get away with others as pirates attempt to steal all the ores and machinery. Quick thinking in a distress call puts a countdown timer for when help may arrive. But for now, everyone has to escape from the pirates as they chase them to a neighboring world where an ecosystem and vacation colony exists, but no security. Will they escape the pirates? Who knows what will happen or what the pirates really want. All right, folks. Well, I'll tell you what we want, and that is more of you out there. But folks, we're so happy you came our way. And when we say that we want more of you, what do we mean? Well, we want you for the show tomorrow at noon. But don't miss out on the 6-Minute Daily with Culture Casino. That'll kick us off, as well as that park place over with Morning Magic. It all starts what time, Culture?
Let's see. 7:45 a.m. Pacific or 10:45 a.m. Eastern.
All right, folks, we want to thank Kevin Apollo from Tooneytown TV and Tooneytown Wrestling for being here. Kevin, you're a hero. Thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure, man. Great to be here. Love doing this with you guys.
Absolutely. And LW Ghost hopped on in when we needed him. Lou, thank you for appearing right when the request came in.
Oh, hey, I'm always happy to help. And when the spirit is always willing, the body is not, but most of the times it is. Let's put it that way.
That's right. Folks, we hit that goal for Super Chats. We're going to play a preview of a song debuting tomorrow on Vacation Radio that will follow the Pro Show. We'll give it to you. It's called Kilimanjaro is the name of the song. And then we're going to send you along to Film Threat. So don't go anywhere. They've got Film Threat late night reactions to CinemaCon. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. It's been a dandy of a time. Here's the song from Vacation Radio.
Watch the sun rise up to the dawn. Sit in shadows of a giant laying on horizons. Listen, the lions cried out far away, reminding challengers what waits just beyond the now today. Kilimanjaro tomorrow, I believe I can dream. Take it on and breathe. Kilimanjaro, I believe. Higher and higher to the sky. Only give up. Higher and higher. Blue sky flyer. Never give up.
The crab people shall finally reach supreme.
Kilimanjaro tomorrow, I believe.
The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
So, folks, as we always say as we end each and every show here, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Every time they hit him, he stood back up again. So they hit him harder. Still, he got back to his feet. Standing man.